Well, hello there, Star Wars fans and movie fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am DL, and this is another edition of the In-Depth D-Alysis podcast. And today we are journeying back into a galaxy far, far away where we're talking about Star Wars. Today, we're finally going to get to it. We're going to be talking about the much anticipated limited series on Disney Plus. We'll be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And joining with me today, I have close friend and fellow YouTuber Ruby Groovy.
Yo, finally, you actually get me on a podcast about a show that's actually at least decent for once. I appreciate it. We went through like two podcasts, like Eternals and Book of Boba Fett. I am dreading over here. I am mauling.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully the next couple ones will be better. Will be a much pleasant, discussion to have.
Praying. I know that there's a couple projects out there that I'm not going to be super fond of, and I know that there's one already that I already know that you're not very fond of either, and I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate it for at least having a little bit of knowledge on what good filmmaking is. I'm just saying that much. Anyway.
Oh, I hope you're excited as I am to get canceled. Yes.
It all started with The Last Jedi. Anyway.
Oh boy. Final nail in the coffin we'll get there when we get there. I'm sure a lot of people are guessing what show we're talking about. But we're not going to talk about that show. We're going to talk about this show, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's get into this. So before we begin, I guess we should just fill you guys in. Big B was supposed to join us. We don't know where he's at. We contacted him. He was supposed to be here. He may or may not make an appearance later on. I don't know. Well, hopefully he's good where he's at. But
this is what you would call throwing the boy under the bus.
Well,
you know what? I don't blame you. He kind of deserves it. What an asshole!
God damn.
I'm just
the thoughts and opinions of Ruby Groovy do not reflect the opinions of myself.
Or do they?
No, don't. Now you're gonna throw me under the bus. But well, hopefully he'll come on. But if not, it's just gonna be Ruby and I. And then also we're going to give you guys Beefalo's quick opinion on it because he was not able to join us because he had other previous engagements. So we're gonna share his thoughts real quick after we give our thoughts. So that's how it's going to go down. Man, it's been really tough getting the full Star Wars panel as of late. Like it's been a struggle. Life just keeps being like, "Hey, no, keep you separate."
We're adults. This is what happens, Chad.
This is how life is. But hopefully, one day we'll have the full team back. It'll be much more exciting. I mean, we're still gonna have an exciting discussion here, but hopefully, we get the whole band back together soon. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's talk about this show. And as always, if you haven't seen the title already, this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. Spoiler-filled discussion. This show has been out for so long, and everyone has already talked about it by now. But if you're one of those poor souls that have not seen the Obi-Wan show and you don't want to know anything about this, I encourage you, go on Disney Plus, watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then come back and listen to this. If you don't want to know anything.
First off, go watch the show. Second of all, how have you not seen the show already?
There's some people that just live under a rock, or they're probably just jaded from all the content that we're getting from Disney, including Marvel and other stuff. So it's just like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have been warned from this point forward.
Whoa.
Okay. So we've talked about the prequels a long time ago. Long time ago. Mm-hmm. But if you guys have seen our thoughts and opinions on the prequels, while we don't think they're the best films out there, there's some issues with the prequels for sure. I know there's people that love the prequels from the beginning, and that's great if you guys do. But and the people are starting to become more fond of it post Clone Wars and Rebels, which is great. But What I will say, one of the best highlights of the prequels was Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was great. Um, he like Ewan McGregor, in my opinion, and I think Ruby can. Oh dang! I'm sorry, guys. I haven't seen Ruby in glasses before. I'm
My bad, my bad.
Like, oh my gosh!
Blue light glasses to save my eyes from being irritated by the screens.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
My bad. I don't mean to offend. My bad.
Just like Ruby, when you wear glasses, man.
I'm trying to get sleep. That's all I can say.
I see. You do what you gotta do.
Fucking up, bro. Anyway, keep going. My bad.
Sure. Okay. So Ian McGregor's portrayal as Obi-Wan, at least in my opinion, and I think Ruby can agree with this, that he does what very few prequel characters do. They enhance the original depiction of Obi-Wan, in my opinion. Of course, we all love Alec Guinness in the original trilogy, but I feel like Obi-Wan's portrayal Ewan McGregor's portrayal as Obi-Wan, it did make Obi-Wan's character more interesting. He gave him more depth and layers than what we got from the original trilogy.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
Don't make me go back and pull up a clip where you agreed with that, because I remember the exact clip where you agreed.
No, I'm just messing. I'm messing. I agree.
Okay.
I concede.
Yes. It's okay if your opinion.
I can concede. What am I conceding to? I already said that it's okay. Anyway.
Yeah, right. It's okay if your opinion has changed since then. I want to know why it would change, but it's like, anyway.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. We're good.
Yeah,
we're safe.
But anyway, yeah, Ian McGregor's portrayal as Obi-Wan definitely helped to bring more layers to Obi-Wan as a character. Even though, the overall writing with him in the prequels could have been better, his performance definitely stood out, and he ended up being one of the best parts of the prequels. When did they first announce? They first announced, well, before they announced that it was a show. Originally, there were rumblings going around, I guess during when the sequel trilogy was still coming out, that Lucasfilm was considering doing an Obi-Wan spin-off movie and having Ewan McGregor return. And I guess it was going to take place after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm on board for this. Let's do this, because for the most part, people are fans of Ewan McGregor, and people would love to see him return. And there's the sequel trilogy and the stuff post Disney era. They were making more connections to the prequels when people believed that that Disney was going to completely erase the prequels and just start from scratch, which that didn't end up being the case at all. So it's like, okay, more prequel tie-ins. I'm happy about that. But unfortunately, that movie didn't happen because I guess we'll have to thank The Last Jedi and then Solo for underperforming because of the mixed reception of The Last Jedi. So, and this was around the time where Star Wars was putting out, those anthology films like Rogue One. And that was going to be more of a thing that there were going to be more spin-off Star Wars movies outside of the regular saga films, numerical saga films. But since Solo became the first Star Wars movie that underperformed at the box office, Lucasfilm was like, okay, let's pause on that. I don't know if we want to do that. On top of the rumored Boba Fett movie that they were going to do, but they scrapped that as well. I don't know if there were other projects they were trying to greenlight as well, but all of that was put on pause. So, post-pandemic era, when Disney Plus started to get this huge boom in, putting out content and stuff like that, with the success of The Mandalorian and all that stuff, and bringing back the Clone Wars for its final season, all that type of stuff, Lucasfilm decided, you know what? We're going to have Obi-Wan, instead of it being a movie, we're going to have it be a limited series. And I remember, was it D23 or was Star Wars Celebration? No, Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Where Ian McGregor, I forgot what year it was. I think it was either 2019, 2020, or something like that. But when Ian McGregor came on stage at Star Wars Celebration with Kathleen Kennedy there, and he told Kathleen to ask him, is he coming back to play Obi-Wan? And Kathleen Kennedy asked him, is he going to come back to play Obi-Wan? And he said yes. And that's when the Star Wars community all celebrated in joyous celebration. Yes, Ian McGregor finally returning to the Star Wars universe. But the great news didn't stop there. Not only did Ian McGregor is going to come back to play Obi-Wan, but they were also going to get Hayden Christensen to return as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. And I was like, yes! Now I know there's going to be haters out there to be like, why are you bringing back Hayden Christensen? He sucked. Shut the fuck up, first of all. Am I saying Hayden Christensen is a great actor? No, he's not. He's not a great actor. However, I don't completely blame it on him because I did see him and stuff that he was actually pretty solid as an actor. And I'm thinking, under better direction, with better writing, he will actually do the character justice. Now, my only trepidation about that was he was going to come back as Darth Vader. So, with this show, the one thing that they were promoting is that there's going to be a huge rematch between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. We're going to see the rematch fight from Revenge of the Sith. We're going to see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader clash again. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, no, that should not happen. Why is this happening? No. Don't you remember in A New Hope? Like, that was supposed to be implied that they haven't seen each other since Revenge of the Sith, because you had that whole thing of, I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. So, to have them do a rematch in between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, I'm like, you're going to take away from the weight and development that was established in A New Hope. And of course, I know the Star Wars community out there wants to, I've heard the debating out there being like, well, actually, technically it doesn't, because you still have enough leg room for them to like work around that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, sure they can, but would it feel forced? Forced. I said forced. It would overall feel forced. Like I don't want them to just shoehorn in fan service like this just because they got the actors back. It has to feel natural in the context of the story. Like, another thing I heard people saying is that they want Darth Maul to return in this show as well. And I'm like, that absolutely cannot happen at all. Because first of all, it will completely go against the continuity of Rebels, because Darth Maul wasn't even supposed to know that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine until Rebels, and then they had that final confrontation between each other where Ben killed him. So, no, that cannot happen. So, I did not want Darth Maul to come back, even though would I love to see a rematch between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul in live action? Of course. However, we didn't need that, because if you watch the Clone Wars, they pretty much concluded, and on top of the conclusion with Rebels, they pretty much done to death all the development they did between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. So, like, we didn't need to see that in live action. They already did the storyline pretty well in Clone Wars. So, no, don't bring that back. Even though Ray Parker's Darth Maul coming back in Solo, I don't want them to just drop that. I would like to see him come back as Darth Maul at some point. But we'll see what happens. So the person that was helming this project was actually, it's not Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni's not it. It's Deborah Chow. Deborah Chow is going to helm this entire show. For people that don't know, Deborah Chow was the one that directed a couple of episodes of season 1 of The Mandalorian. Did she do episodes for season 2? I don't think she did. I think it was just season 1, right?
Might have been just for season 1. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. So The episode she did direct of The Mandalorian, I thought was actually really good. So I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. It's nice. It'll be good to have a different direction for these shows, you know. And I think it's in good hands. Deborah Chow did a really solid job. And it's like, as long as Dave Filoni's there and, like, you know, to overhelm the story and make sure everything makes sense, I think they'll be just fine. So, sitting down and watching this, there's a lot of hype going into this show. For a lot of people that's saying that, you know, Star Wars is in trouble or Star Wars is in jeopardy and stuff like that, a lot of people were looking at this show being like, this needs to bring Star Wars back to its good graces again. People were hoping that this would be the best show that Star Wars put out and hopefully get back to the quality that the original trilogy was. And for some people, you know, the quality of how good the prequels were, for people that really like the prequels. So a lot of expectations were high on this. You got Ian McGregor back. You're not just going to give him some bull crap to work with, of course. And of course, you're going to get Hayden Christensen back, and Darth Vader's going to come back. So we're expecting great things with this show. So actually sitting down and watching this, what did we think about Obi-Wan Kenobi? It's solid. It's solid. It's okay. Jeez. It hurt to say that. It's fine. It's all right. I don't think it's bad, but it definitely didn't live up to the hype for me. It didn't. Man. I mean, were my expectations too high for this show? Maybe. But, as I said, they were able to get Ian McGregor to come back to do Obi-Wan. He wants to do this. He is so invested in this character. He's so invested in this world. And you have so many people that are invested in the, you know, the prequel era now. And it's like, I just don't understand what happened here. You know? And it's like, as I said, Deborah Chow is not a bad director. And he did a pretty solid job with Star Wars going, you know, up until this point. So I'm just like, what happened here? This show is not all the way coherent. It's kind of all over the place. And it's just, I think we said this before when we were talking about the book of Boba Fett. When this was originally supposed to be conceived as a movie, this show felt like it should have been a movie. They should have just stuck with this being a movie. With this and the Book of Boba Fett, but especially this. Watching this show, this was like 6 episodes, about 40 minutes long each, roughly. This, once again, fell under the same issues that the Marvel shows did, is that it feels like a movie that they were trying to extend into a show, and once again, they are just putting in a bunch of filler in this show, or they're trying to drag out things that doesn't need to be dragged out. And it's like, and another problem I have with this show is that you feel like this show was supposed to be darker as far as its themes and its tone and stuff like that. I felt like there were certain moments where the show wanted to be darker, but there were times where it felt like the tone didn't know what it wanted to be. It wanted to put in that lighthearted stuff here and there where it felt kind of weird and awkward, and then at the same time would have some really heavy stuff happening in the show, especially with Darth Vader, you know, and Obi-Wan, you know, whenever they interact or they clash and stuff like that. Just some of the heavier stuff of the show, which I think are some of the best parts of the show. Whenever we focus on Obi-Wan and like his, you know, his post-traumatic stuff with, you know, Order 66 and stuff like that, and him, you know, exiling himself from the Jedi, and him failing Anakin and stuff like that. And especially when we get to the stuff with Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, that stuff I feel like some of the best parts of the show. But then you cut to this other ridiculous stuff with, unfortunately, with Leia in this show. And what's the actor's name? Camille Nanjiani, whatever his name is. That stuff in the show, and I'm just like, what? And then there's some silly stuff with even the Inquisitors as well, which I'm like, what is going on? And then another thing, they're really trying to push this new character, Reva, which I know she's been a point of contention when it comes to this show. We'll get more into detail about her later, but like, I had some issues with her as well that was messing with the storytelling that we wanted to see in the show. Like, I didn't feel as invested in her as they wanted me to, you know. And overall, the direction of the show, like as far as the cinematography, the direction, and what Deborah Chow decided to do with with her style, it didn't feel as cinematic as it should have been. This whole show feels like a big budget fan film. That's what it feels like. Like I said, it doesn't feel as cinematic as it should have been. And the one thing I was worried about with this show, most of all, when I was worried about their shoehorning in stuff in the continuity for fan service sake, or we've never seen this happen before, let's just do it. Like, they were bending the rules of the continuity so far. Like, they didn't break it. I'm not gonna go as far as to say that they broke continuity, but they were pushing it extremely far to the point where it doesn't feel natural, And I don't know, when they did the stuff that they did, it was cool to see, but I don't. Once again, it's similar to how I feel about Boba Fett. I don't feel fulfilled with some of the stuff they put in the show. Half the stuff I'm like, okay, it's cool to see this, but did we need to see this? No, we didn't. Overall, this show's alright. It's a mixed bag. I'm not going to say this is horrible. I think this is better than the Book of Boba Fett overall. It's a more enjoyable experience than Book of Boba Fett. But do I think this is the best Disney Plus show? Far from it. It doesn't even touch The Mandalorian. There are moments that it does, but overall it doesn't. Overall, that's my long-winded thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm just mixed about it. But that's how I feel. Let's get to you, Ruby. What did you think about Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat. If I'm being honest, it's just a really just okay show. On the one hand, it is nice to see Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan returning to our screens now at home, unfortunately. But here regardless, he's here with us, and as far as I'm a guy that more so looks for like performances from like a character, or like how some people like portray a character in a certain way, and that mostly goes for whenever we get to like recastings or like actors that are like characters that are being played by different actors. Most notably with Leia, who I actually didn't have an issue with, as like overall didn't have much of an issue with her, because I love the actress. The actress kills the role. I think this is who Leia is as a character. I think this is who Leia's personality is, because this is going all the way back to A New Hope, which is what I wanted to see. I was hoping that, at first I was a little bit antsy about, we're getting Leia in the show and it's, baby Leia. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but then it's, it's not just a child Leia, it's a child A New Hope Leia, which sort of like gives me a little bit more hope, I guess. But there's and I guess that there's some like other aspects of the show that I can enjoy, like as a fan, like you said earlier, like the fan service in the show it doesn't go through the roof, but it does exist in the show. It does exist, and some of it's paid off kind of well, I guess. That there are some moments, like especially with the Obi-Wan and Anakin stuff, I feel like was handled really well. And Darth Vader and Obi-Wan together caused a little bit of continuity issues, but overall I feel like it was I feel like the tension, as far as like a story level goes, I feel like, you know, the tension is there and it's handled really well. But as far as like where I'm at with like direction and you know, storytelling and whatnot, here's the thing. It's good storytelling, but we have seen this like multiple times already. We have seen this movie in like 5 other projects. You know what I mean? Like, we have seen someone get captured and they have to be rescued. And not to mention, we get that twice in this series. I don't know why. And we've seen Obi-Wan fight Darth Vader before, which I know the fans would like, but I feel like it causes a repetition issue. You know, I feel like it causes, brings up a repetitive issue of, you know, giving us like too much of what we want. And I feel like a good example of that is Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, because we have seen this before in A New Hope, and we've seen this before in Revenge of the Sith. And like you said before, the continuity error of them meeting up together in this series, not once, but multiple times actually, kind of ruins the reunion between the two in A New Hope, which, like, at the same time, like, it's I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because, like, you want to see it happen. Like, it's there. You want the fan service. You want to be fed all this stuff, and like, yeah, this is cool and this is exciting. But as DL said, is this needed? Do we need this? Is this what we really want? Like, okay, it's what we want. Is this what we need as, like, Star Wars? That's the question between, like, there's a big difference between I want this or I need this. We want another Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, but we don't need it. Know what I mean? What I needed personally was more to come, more being the operative word, but more, I guess, more focus on Reva. Because I feel like after watching Part 5, Episode 5, I felt like she had some potential to be a solid character, because I actually thought that she was solid in Episode 5, like, overall. Like, just looking at her in Episode 5, I thought that she was fine. But then, you know, she exists in all the other episodes. So, like, I can't say that she's a good character just by basing her off of one episode, which is frustrating, because this is also directed by, all of them are directed by the same person, and there's inconsistency.
Yeah, it feels like there's more than one director working on this, but it's the same person doing all the episodes. Like, why is it?
And you know what? I could see, like, on Wikipedia, the main reason that I'm kind of feeling like everything felt different was that they weren't all written by, like, the same person every single time. Like, I see, like, Joby Harold was one of the people that did teleplay for pretty much all the episodes, but then you see, like, a handful of, like, other random people just thrown in there every once in a while, which, like, that alone just causes the inconsistency of, you know, making a consistent story. Because I see, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 4 names working on Part 6, but then I see, like, 2 people working on episodes 4 and 5.
What in the world?
You know, I don't know. Like, I know, like, even if all these episodes are directed by the same person, the writing has got to be consistent, and it can't be consistent if it's all done by different people. And granted, all of these are people that came back, like these are, like, technically the same people in the same series, but they all have to work together on the same story together, because otherwise, you know, there's going to be some issues with, like, one writer not following up with another writer's decision from a previous episode, which we'll get into, like, hardcore, cough, episode 4. And they have to sort of, like, they have to play maze to, like, figure out, like, you know, how can we keep the story consistent while bringing us back to telling good stories and like writing good stories, which I feel like is what episode 4 failed at. But we'll get into that later. And you know, another big issue, which I think is the biggest issue, is already brought up. This is a 2.5 hour film that was split up into 6 episodes, each being 40 to 50 minutes long. That is unnecessary because you've already mentioned that you wanted to make an Obi-Wan show. And I get why you didn't want to do it back then, Disney, because, you know, reception on The Last Jedi and Solo was just not particularly like on par with what you were expecting. And, you know, Solo especially didn't really succeed well for you in box office sales. But I mean, it's just one movie that failed in box office. In the overall grand scheme of things, I know that you want to make money. We all know this. But it's one movie that you failed in box office, and you said, nah, we're going to scrap this film idea. And then you come back like a year or two later after that and say, yeah, actually, we're going to turn this into a Disney Plus show. And the side effects kick in when we see the show. It's sad. It's so sad. So overall, like, as far as like fan service goes, like it's fine. Like, it's entertaining, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked the direction of what they did with Obi-Wan and his post prequel era, after like, you know, post Revenge of the Sith, fighting off against, you know, the one person that he needed to keep in his life to sort of help him, you know, remember Qui-Gon is how I originally saw it. Now that's gone, and we get to see him, you know, feeling just defeated. And it's beautiful with how they tell it. But then, like, everything else after that just comes, it's just you pile on more stuff on top of that one thing. And I feel like it's just too much of a tower to build up that it eventually just falls over.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, the character Obi-Wan is good. And, like, the struggle that he goes through, like, is powerful. And it draws our attention. But that's all you really need from us. Like, that's all you really need to get our attention. Because after watching the first episode, I want to see what Obi-Wan goes through. But there's just too much for us to be fed in all these other later episodes that it just feels like we're just getting, like, too much, while ironically, while also getting too little. Because of all of the filler stuff that happened, because this is a 2.5 hour film split into 6 episodes.
Yep.
So, like, it's fine. It's not bad. It is not Book of Boba Fett. You know, we can bypass that show.
Yeah.
This is an okay show. It's not going to be better than Mandalorian, but it's disappointing, but that doesn't mean that it's like bad. You know, it's not to the point where it's like unwatchable. You know, it does have watchable and unwatchable moments. So there's just sort of like this weird counterbalance of like, you know, I would go back to it, but like at the same time, like I only needed to watch it just once just to see all of the good and bad stuff from it. So mixed bag for me. I do think it's fine. It's fine. I'll leave it there. It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
Okay.
Hi, this is Beefalo, and I'm going to tell you a abbreviated opinions of Obi-Wan. What a nice again. I didn't finish the series in time for this assignment to be turned in, and I apologize, everybody. I got caught up watching Andor and Tales of the Crypt and got distracted. But Obi-Wan was really refreshing to revisit that character. I enjoyed a lot. I appreciate the fact that the tone of the show was going for a nice, you know, trying to mix in and trying to flesh out a lot of the Star Wars lore in like a lot of the mythology. I have issues with the power scaling that occurs later on because we're still throwing giant rocks and breaking things up. The Force is, and don't get me wrong, freezing blaster bolts seem like a natural progression to me. And I understand people can get on like what was the exact point where Force powers became insane. This interquel makes me ask a lot of questions as to why Darth Vader didn't just destroy buildings with the Force, destroy ships with the Force from the beginning. Also, I don't know how a toddler outruns several bounty hunters in a sequence through a forest where they're coordinated and maybe not the best of killers, but even if it's slapstick, I still don't buy that shit. Obi-Wan is an interesting revisiting of a character and a storyline that we love, and I really appreciate the. I don't want to go into again. I have to finish the series still, but I'm aware of the ending. But I do appreciate what they thematically did at the ending, which I know that you two will get into, and it's up to you to take on my torch and continue this conversation. But I think thematically Obi-Wan is interesting, but in terms of what it contributes to the Star Wars lore and the overall mythology, it is one, wearing me out. Two, I feel like it's introduced errors and continuity issues that did not need to exist. But I have to say, for what fan service I was offered, I am very glad that there was something for me to like revisit and look back on fondly, and that it wasn't bad at all. It might not have been the best contribution to Star Wars, but it's a admirable one. And it's not gonna be like Mandalorian, where I'm like, oh, this is just, or for me, spoiling my thoughts a little bit, it's not gonna be like Mandalorian or Andor, where I'm like, oh, this is something different. Might be again, and Seth has, Ruby got his own feelings about it, but it's something that I can appreciate for what it is. It's something that feels like a tonal bridge from the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy. There's a lot that I appreciate about Obi-Wan from what I've seen of it. And there's a lot that I appreciate about what it's going for thematically, but I just have issues with the lore and continuity it tries to introduce. And with that, I will quiet down and let these two resume and take over.
Okay. All right. Well, normally we would break this down episode by episode, but I'm going to switch it up on you guys. We're not going to do that. We're going to have an open discussion on whatever we think is noteworthy to talk about, because as we noted before, this feels like a 2.5-hour movie that's separated into 6 episodes.
So we're going to treat it like a 2.5-hour film.
Yes, that's exactly how it was supposed to be. But anyway, so I want to start. Let's just start with I would start with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. We can start with him first.
Sure.
So as we said before, Ewan McGregor is phenomenal. He is great in this show. It felt like he didn't miss a beat. He literally felt like he came straight out of Revenge of the Sith. Man, I just love what Ewan McGregor brings to this character, man. Like, he just brings a lot of gravitas to it. You know, you can tell, like, even though, the writing for his character is a mixed bag here and there, you can tell that he is doing his very best to make this material work. He is still trying to bring some sort of level of weight and emotion to this story, and I definitely appreciated that. And there were definitely some aspects of of him dealing with his, I guess you could say, a little bit of depression and trauma from the Jedi going extinct, and him exiling himself, and him especially failing Anakin, and this his whole confrontation with him on Mustafar, that whole battle between them, and leaving him for dead on Mustafar, letting him just set himself on fire, thinking that he died. You can just tell how it's emotionally affecting him. He doesn't feel the same. He feels defeated. He feels, he just feels. It's very sad to see, but at the same time, it just makes me feel for him more. It reminds me a lot of I know this is going to be a controversial statement for people. It reminds me a lot of what Luke was going through in The Last Jedi, of him failing Ben, so I definitely felt some of those elements here with Obi-Wan. And of course, seeing him just being, a loner in the desert, him getting a regular job like that, that's not nuts. Him staying in a cave and stuff like that. I thought all that was interesting. And of course, they do that running gag with, well, it's not a gag, but it's like him, like whenever he's at work and he's cutting the meat at his job, and he secretly is, taking a piece of a meat to himself without without his boss knowing and stuff like that. They do that how many times? Like 3-4 times in the show. Like I mean,
Something like that.
yeah, I mean it was funny the first couple times, but like they keep doing it over and over again. It's like, and I was expecting something different to happen. He like, is his boss gonna catch him this time? Is that why they keep doing this? His boss is gonna catch him eventually? No, it doesn't happen. He still is able to get the meat without people knowing. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the one thing I thought was very interesting. Another person I thought who was excellent in this show, Joel Edgerton as Uncle Owen. They got him back.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same actress who was Baru as well. Barney Pais. I don't know how to say her last name. I think I botched that really bad. But it was very nice to see them as Owen and Baru again. And especially with Joel Edgerton, I really like the dynamic that he has in this show, being like he's very apprehensive with Obi-Wan, even interacting with Luke. Because Luke is a kid, in this time period. This takes place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. But you have this whole thing of like Joel, Uncle Owen, just being very apprehensive of Obi-Wan being a negative influence on Luke because of what happened with Anakin. And it's just I like just seeing the scenes of Owen confronting Obi-Wan, calling him out on his shit, being like, because Obi-Wan is saying the whole time that Luke has to train to be a Jedi, he has to be prepared. And then Owen's like, oh, like how you prepared Anakin? How'd that work for you? Like oh shit. He has a point there.
You done messed up.
So it's got to the point where it's like he doesn't even want Obi-Wan to even be around them anymore. Like, just nothing. Like even like when Obi-Wan is trying to like give him a gift, like a toy ship or stuff like that. Like Owen doesn't even want him to take that because he doesn't want anything to do with him. So it's like, and this is one of the few moments where it's like I understand where Owen is coming from, just after everything that's happened with Anakin and stuff like that. It's totally justifiable of why he feels this way and why he acts this way towards Obi-Wan. And it's like Obi-Wan can't even he can't even deny that the Jedi messed up. This whole thing of like the Jedi were so oblivious to what the Sith has been doing with the Republic this entire time. They look pretty stupid at this point that they didn't know that the most powerful Sith Lord was running the entire Republic. And they didn't even know that because they become so lost in their ways because originally they were supposed to be guardians of the peace and they slowly became soldiers of the Republic and they weren't supposed to, and that clouded their judgment and how they go about their decision making and them defending the galaxy. Like, I like seeing hints of those themes in this show. I wish there was more of it.
Yep.
I want to see just more of that PTSD stuff from Obi-Wan. I just want them to go more into that.
Or maybe even just a little bit more closure in between, like, the Jedi were oblivious to Palpatine being, the mastermind of everything, and, Obi-Wan trying to figure out, like, what did they miss?
Yeah.
There had to be, like, something that, made them think, maybe, like, just maybe, like, this could be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they could have delved into that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And then especially the stuff like with Obi-Wan failing Anakin. Like, once again, they do address it quite a bit, but I did want them to go more into that as well. You do see him having nightmares about the stuff happening on Mustafar and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that I appreciated.
Honestly, that should have been like one of the main focuses of the show, like as opposed to being just like, a side focus, or something like that. Because I feel like the show just sort of spent a little too much time trying to make the main story happen with like the rescue missions that we've seen like 10 times already, as opposed to going back to Obi-Wan's most dreaded, like, hurtful moment, which is seeing Anakin being burnt alive, or I guess in his case, burnt to death on Mustafar. I feel like that, like, his connection with Anakin should have been like the main focus of the show, and then Leia is, here as like, we need to rescue her. It's just a thing that happens. It's not like super important. We can do it, but like, the main aspect just should have been Obi-Wan just reflecting on Anakin a lot.
Yeah, I agree on that. What I will say about the Leia stuff is that it probably was still somewhat necessary to see that, because just to establish how Leia knows Obi-Wan by the time we get to A New Hope, because of that transmission in A New Hope that Luke that sees, that R2 shows that they knows who Obi-Wan is. So I guess you could establish that connection. The way they did it though was kind of, I mean, for the most part it was fine, but there was a couple of things where I was like, wait, what?
It did feel a little too, I guess, familiar in terms of like, there's these two characters that appear to be strangers to each other, but they have to work together in order to like succeed with their mission or whatever. They have to like cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, like, I guess that's sort of like a element of fish out of water in that aspect. But I mean, like, I honestly, I'm okay with it, because like we didn't really know like what they were like with each other like back in the day, I guess. And either way, their dynamic in the show, like no matter how you would have done it, their dynamic is actually pretty good.
It's pretty good. I'll definitely admit that.
They definitely have some. They definitely have some of the more like heartfelt moments.
For sure. You know what? Let's just start talking about her. Vivian Blair as a very young Princess Leia. Okay, so I just want to say I'm not hating on her. I did not think she did a bad job. She actually was really good in this show. I did like her. And I was very apprehensive about them doing child versions of these iconic characters because, of what happened with Jake Lloyd in the prequels and stuff like that. So I was hoping they wouldn't. I hope she wouldn't come off annoying as well.
Sure.
There were still a couple of parts where she did come off a bit annoying, but for the most part, she actually was really good. Like, the dialogue that they gave her was actually really witty and snappy. Like, she definitely felt like a young Carrie Fisher. Like, it was very great. She looks like Carrie Fisher. Whenever she, she has like those facial expressions and like, as I said, her wit and her, her attitude and stuff like that. It definitely reminded me of Princess Leia in the original trilogy. So definitely great casting with that.
Which I was very happy about.
I was
happy to see that. Like, at first it was like, Leia is here. Like, wait, we have Leia in the show? Like, how was this happening? But they bring her in, and the actress actually pulls off the dialogue in like typical like Star Wars fashion. Like, they made a 10-year-old actually like pay attention to like the Star Wars lore, and they actually like give her insight of how we like talk in Star Wars and whatnot. And I feel like she killed this role, dude. Like, she was probably one of my favorite like portrayed like actors like in the show, aside from like Ewan McGregor, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So here I'm gonna put you on the spot for this question. So, do you see Vivian when she's all grown up? Do you see them bringing her back to be like maybe a teenage Leia?
You know what? I've actually thought about this at some point as well, because like when I saw her in Obi-Wan, I kind of think to myself, there was this, I don't know if you remember this, but there was this like weird rumor back in the day. I don't know who brought it up, but someone had mentioned the idea of, the original trilogy being like remade as like, made in like the 21st century and in the 2020s, or not in the 2020s. It's just like, at some point.
Reboot.
And I was kind of thinking to myself, if we were to go with that route and Disney wanted to keep up with, the actors that they currently have now in, Star Wars, like Disney Star Wars and whatnot, they would have to use the actors that they used for Obi-Wan, like the Luke and Leia actors that they used for Obi-Wan, alongside Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo.
Woo!
I will give you like a good 2 seconds to marinate that.
So wait a minute, because how old is Alden Ehrenreich right now?
Oh, Alden Ehrenreich. Let me look it up. Alden. He's got to be in his 30s, I think. 32.
Okay, so by the time, because Vivian is 10 years old.
He's 10.
So by the time she even turns 17, he's going to be actually
He's going to be close to 40.
Yes, but wait a minute. That may still work because how old was Han Solo when A New Hope came out?
That's a bigger age gap because I think Carrie Fisher was like 19 and Harrison Ford was like 33.
Technically,
so larger age gap.
Okay.
We have more picky audience members in this day and age as well because we're in that day and age now where like people want Star Wars to be like perfect and they don't want it to be like left. Or they don't want it to be like, bad in any way. And if anything about Star Wars is bad, you will get some touchy ass children on Twitter and everywhere else on social media, like screaming about it and roaring and everywhere. And I will bet you right now that if they ever do Vivian Blair and Alden Ehrenreich together at any point, people are going to be upset.
Yeah, you're not wrong about
people
that.
People will be furious at that.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's just it can't be done. The only way that you could potentially do it is if it's a little insane. You cast a younger Han Solo. It's the only way to do it, and you give him about 10 years. You give him 10 years to have him start making a New Hope.
Well, are people going to take another recasting of Han Solo? Are people going to be okay with that?
Well, think about it. They were a little bit. People were lukewarm about the recasting for Han Solo. They were sort of on the fence about it. They were fine with this Leia recast, and they were fine with the Luke recast. Well, you know what I mean.
Well, and that's another. Well, I guess that's another thing.
People like this girl.
They do.
People do like her.
Right.
So I feel like she's staying.
I feel that way. I think so because she was really good. We didn't even get enough. We didn't even get a good look at young Luke for me to even say he'll grow up to look or act like Mark Hamill. I don't even remember if he had any speaking lines in the show.
He may have had one or so in the first episode, but I think that's about it. I can't even find the actor who played him.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Am I expecting young Luke to have just as much interaction as Leia does? No, because you still have to establish that thing that Owen doesn't want him to have anything to do with Obi-Wan. So I understand that, but just I was hoping that Luke would have just a little bit more of a presence in this show, just a little bit.
Grant Feely found him. Grant Feely, that's who plays Luke Skywalker.
Grant Feely? How do you spell Feely?
Feely.
Feely. Let me look at this guy. Yeah, I kind of see a Luke in him.
I'm telling you, give him 10 years.
Yeah,
give him 10 years.
Sure.
He's gonna have the hair of Luke.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting to see. But yeah, do you ever? Okay, so since you brought the whole reboot thing, we're kind of going on a tangent here. But I was wondering if I guess if they can't do the whole the Alden Ehrenreich thing, and if they decide not to fully just do like a remake of the original, if they do reboot Star Wars, do you see them being more closer to like the original concept art of Star Wars to make it feel different?
I would have to see some of the original artwork again because it's been like a minute and a half since I've seen the original artwork.
I feel like that possibly could work.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure they could have like they could probably do. What I'm betting is that like if they were to go back to this, they would probably have like Easter eggs of the original artwork of Star Wars, and they would probably have like their own artwork for this day and age of Star Wars because I'm pretty sure whoever would be up and running to be the director of the film, that's another thing. It would have to depend on who's directing the film, because like, are we gonna get some of the fan picks of like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni to come back and do like an original like A New Hope, or are we wanting to go with like some of the newer directors? Like I know Rian Johnson has sort of expressed a little interest. I know I try and find every way to bring up Rian Johnson, but like that's not my fault this time. But
yeah, maybe there's new trilogy. I don't know if that happens.
It might be, but it would have to depend on the director because there are directors that have like their own like visions on like how they would like remake the original Star Wars trilogy, and let's say like hypothetically, if like for example, if I were to do it, if I were to be the director of the new Star Wars trilogy, I would have my own artwork, like my own original artwork for the series, and just have little Easter eggs of like going back to the original artwork, because I don't want to go off of someone else's work. I would want it to be like fresh and original, well, not original, but new, so that it could speak more and better to this newer generation of Star Wars fans that come in. And for some of the people that want references to like the artwork from back in the day, just throw in a couple Easter eggs. Have like a helmet of like Darth Vader's original like helmet design, like somewhere in Darth Vader's like throne room or whatnot, or something like that. I don't know. Or like in a flashback, like if we do like Empire Strikes Back or something, we would do when Vader comes in, that would probably be the original artwork design. Because like it would be a vision of like Lucas seeing Vader as like this vicious and evil like threat, and like he's afraid of this guy, like he is terrified, he is mortified by Vader. So a way that you could enhance that feel of horror, add the original artwork design of Vader's helmet to sort of like enhance that horrorness.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
But then keep the original design of Vader's helmet, because you can't change it.
Well, they did in Rebels slightly. They had a slight homages to the original,
and it was bad.
It was not bad.
It wasn't
bad.
Bad. It's well, if you compare it to like pretty much most of every other Vader helmet, then yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best.
All right. Well,
the red eyes just kind of make it too like cartoonish for me. They don't do it for me. They did the same thing in Rogue One. I'm like,
oh yeah, the red eyes, yeah. Woo.
Anyway, but yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting approach. Speaking of horror, the horror influences in Darth Vader, let's talk about him. Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I'm convinced at this point, no matter how good or bad a Star Wars property is, you can't have Darth Vader. They can't mess up Darth Vader at this point. He always elevates anything that he's in.
It'll be difficult to mess up Darth Vader. Well, I mean, I don't know about in this day and age now, because I know that James Earl Jones has stepped back from doing voiceover work now.
Yeah, I heard
Vader.
that.
So it's going to be
He
difficult
needs
to like find. We want him to,
but
we want him to. Do we need him?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
He
Especially
he has done his job.
right. He is getting old. He's getting old, and you're starting to feel it.
He's in his 90s.
Shit.
I know. I hate it.
Gosh darn it. He's not gonna be around for long, is he? Well, I'm not gonna put that in the universe.
At least have him survive 2022. If he survives 2022, if he survives 2022, then we'll be fine.
Dude, Hagrid didn't even survive 2022. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know.
You're right.
God damn it. God. I'm losing
Rest in
all
peace,
my
Robbie.
Rest in peace, man. I'm losing all my childhood heroes. It's gonna be a sad day with James Earl Jones.
Oh, it didn't help that David Prowse left this earth 2 freaking years ago. No.
It's madness, man. Anyway, back to Darth Vader.
And what we love about him.
What we love about him. Speaking of the voice acting, I think that's the weird thing because we talked about James Earl Jones stepping back from doing Darth Vader. I think that wasn't him doing the voiceover. I think they took a sample of his voice and like had somebody else do like the dialogue to have sound like just James Earl Jones as Darth Vader because he sounded a lot younger than he did in Rogue One and especially Lion King 2019. But like he sounded rejuvenated again. So I don't know what they did. Was it a similar thing they did with Mark Hamill in A Book of Boba Fett, where he sounded young? Like
no, I'll probably throw in my 2 cents about it. What I think they did, and it's not even that hard to do. Like if you grab any other like older actor to do like voiceover work and have them sound younger, it's honestly I would probably be able to make them sound younger, and it's all through just post-production. They do the voice recordings with his original voice, but they'll tone it in post-production to make him sound more younger, like a younger Darth Vader, like how he is supposed to be like 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. That is how I think they originally did it.
So why in the hell did they not do this for Rogue One or Lion King 2019?
Because they're dumbasses.
They're stupid.
They're so fucking. That was the time period where Disney was most focused around money making, and then the Disney Plus stuff came to play.
And then that's when they found out, oh, we can actually do this right, proper.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Hey, if we can have Book of Boba Fett like start off with like, you know, bringing back younger face actors from back in the day and have it look really well, and also like modify their voices to sound younger. And if there's like even a chance that we could show off some progression with that, I'll be sold.
Fair enough.
Because James Earl Jones did the original voice work for Darth Vader in the show. I see his name like on here on Wikipedia that he did the original voice work.
All right.
So,
well, if they ever want to use Darth Vader in future projects, you better get all of James Earl Jones' voice acting in like now, before he gets too old.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, he already said he's trying to step back from voice acting as well. So, like, good luck with other future projects. Honestly, like, well, I'll talk about it later. But
oh, wait, hang on. It says on Wikipedia, James Earl Jones's voice is used for Darth Vader as with previous Star Wars media, but his lines in the series were generated by an AI program called Respeecher. Respeecher, which was also used for Luke. Okay, the thing.
So I was right.
Which was also used for Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett, based on recordings of Jones from the films. But so yeah, they essentially did original recordings and they modified the voices.
So yeah, they used an AI to do new dialogue, but they used the same like tone. They used the tone of voice samples from James Earl Jones and Mark
Yep.
Hamill to make them sound younger.
Yeah, because James Earl Jones was on the set for Obi-Wan, and I know we all know Mark Hamill was there for Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
We all know he was there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very, very interesting, man. I'm telling you, bro. They're bringing people out of a time capsule, younger. It's getting scary, man. It's getting scary.
One step at a time. We're gonna get Christopher Reeve Superman.
No, Henry Cavill is back. Stick with that. Stick with that. God damn it.
Oh man.
Man. Too bad they couldn't use that de-aging stuff for Michael Keaton before The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
DC wasn't ready for it. they weren't. And then they saw Black Adam, and they were like, "Oh, let's do reshoots." That's probably what's gonna happen. Like $10. That's what's gonna happen. They're not gonna listen to critics.
I mean, yeah, critic proof because the audience rating is 90% on Black Adam. So
yeah, audience rating is 90%, and critic rating for Black Adam is like what 40%, or like I think I saw it was at like 39.
Yeah, it's around there.
Which is the same rating as Joss Whedon's
Justice League. Yeah, I know.
I just saw a little bit ago. I didn't want to mention it, but like it's there.
It is definitely not anywhere near as bad as that. Yeah, anywhere near there. But anyway, back to Star Wars. Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, man. Along with James Earl Jones' voice. This is probably the most savage Darth Vader I have seen since A New Hope. Maybe even more. Like, he feels like a straight up slasher villain in this show.
He is, yeah.
He is angry.
The Village, when he was on The Village in episode 3.
Yep. He is angry in this show. He is pissed off. He is like, he's out for blood for Obi-Wan. As you said, in episode 3, when he walks in that village and Obi-Wan is hiding from him, he's walking through the village and like the villagers are just trying to hide and not get in his way. But Lily, like if you're even in his premises, he's literally fucking with the citizens, killing them one by one just to make Obi-Wan come out and face him. Like there was like a guy out like watching Darth Vader walk through out the window, and literally Darth Vader is using the Force to pull him out and choke him out. And then another person was trying to save him, but then Darth Vader used his Force to push him against the wall and snap his neck with the Force. Jesus Christ! And you see it on screen. They don't cut away. You see him snap his neck and kill him.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, damn. It literally reminded me of in A New Hope, where he was choking that dude out and he was trying to interrogate him, but he choked him too hard and snapped his neck with his bare hands. Like, it's like savage stuff like that, bruh. And like, when Darth Vader first confronted Obi-Wan, and like they had a little quibble with the lightsaber at first, and then like he had the gasoline on the sand and set it on fire, and then he put Obi-Wan in the fire and burned his arm and shit like that. I'm like, oh my god, Vader!
Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Vader chose violence.
Yep, and he got violence.
He certainly did. Oh my god, he was a savage in the show, and I loved it. You know, like, and it makes sense. You know, coming fresh off of Revenge of the Sith, where he's angry that, you know, Obi-Wan left him in Mustafar and, like, you know, let him burn to a crisp, cut off 2 of his limbs. So he can't even breathe properly. He has to be in this big old heavy suit and stuff like that. And, like, has his own little Bacta tank. The Bacta tank goes back in this show. Oh my god! But you know, at least like with Darth Vader stuff, like it looks cooler. Like he has his own tube and stuff like that, which that was really cool.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm fine with the Bacta tank. Like it's like it really just sort of like signifies that like Vader still is sort of like healing from his wounds from Mustafar, and he's sort of having to like live with this like pain for the rest of his life.
Yeah. So
you know, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. In the context of how Vader has to deal with this, deal with this condition for the rest of his life, and he has Obi-Wan to blame for that.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely understand why he's angry and pissed off and stuff like that. So certain people won't notice, like the regular, audience probably don't notice certain things, but I did notice slight modifications to his suit. There were slight differences with his helmet and how it is shaped, and like he has more of a collar now with this version of his suit. So I did kind of like the slight modifications. Honestly, I think my favorite look of his is the end of Revenge of the Sith. I think that's probably, in my opinion, I think that's the best his suit looked. But yeah, that's little aesthetic stuff there. Now Hayden Christensen himself, I was kind of questioning him like being in the Vader suit, because we're not going to fully see Hayden Christensen performance if he's just going to be in the Vader suit. Like, he could have had anybody wear that. But I was happy because by the climax we understood why he was going to be in the Vader suit. With them, I know we're jumping far ahead, but we'll talk more about the climactic fight later. But like when they cut his helmet off and you see like his burnt half of his burnt face, stuff like that. So that was nice, and you were able to slightly hear Hayden Christensen's voice at the same time with the modulated James Earl Jones voice together. So I thought aesthetically that was very well done. That was great.
Mhm.
But on top of that, what I actually, I'm sure a lot of people were hoping to happen in this show, which we did slightly get. We got flashbacks of Hayden Christensen as Anakin in the prequel era, with the younger Obi-Wan, like Attack of the Clones era, where we see Obi-Wan and Anakin train together. And I'm like, yeah, we got that. That was great that they did that. We got Attack of the Clones Anakin and Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan. Like that was really cool. Like,
And you know what? I am glad that they went with the Attack of the Clones design, because I'm tired of people giving so much respect to the Revenge of the Sith designs, which I do like the Revenge of the Sith designs, and I want to say that it's mainly because Revenge of the Sith is like the most like popular prequel film right now, and pretty much everything that everyone's making today around Star Wars is revolving around Revenge of the Sith. But
and also the Clone Wars, like that's
and,
like
and Clone Wars and all that stuff. But we can go back to a piece of media that not a lot of people were really fans of, but we can make it better. We can make it like actually mean something now. Attack of the Clones is not a very good movie, and we're using stuff from Attack of the Clones and making it good. That's what we need. This is good progress.
That is good.
Thank you.
And
we love it.
I love it too. I absolutely agree with you. And this is what I've been wanting them to do, with the installments of Star Wars that weren't so good. Like, as I agree with you too. Like, Attack of the Clones is one of my least favorite Star Wars movies, but I'm glad that they used this to help enhance certain elements of the Attack of the Clones. So that's
don't make Attack of the Clones seem so like useless.
Exactly.
Make these costumes make some aspects of the film like actually mean something, and they actually did that in this show. I was really happy with that.
Exactly. Now I'm about to go on a quick little tangent about this because I've said this before. If you're able to do this stuff with Attack of the Clones and the other prequels, they can do a similar thing with the sequels for people that don't like it. So,
Truth.
Yeah, so don't say that there's nothing that's redeemable with Star Wars. They can redeem anything, if the writing is good and stuff like that. So, just want to go on that quick little tangent. But anyway, so I liked that, we got a quick little they showed training montages with them, doing sparring matches, lightsaber duel. So that was nice. And you did see like there were themes of like how Anakin, how he fights, like kind of ties into how his frame of mindset is with him wanting control. Like he's always on the offense and stuff like that, and like always trying to like get the upper hand strength wise, and like Obi-Wan trying to teach him it's not all about bronze and strength, it's about it's about your mind and stuff like that. So I like those themes as well. Now this is a tiny little nitpick. This is the nittiest
of nitpicks.
Yes. they couldn't, because Hayden Christensen, you can tell, and also with Ian McGregor, you can tell they got slightly older. You know, Hayden Christensen is I think he's in his 40s now, and so, you know, him being the young Anakin, like I can see the wrinkles in his face a little bit. They could have used a little bit of de-aging, just a little bit, to make him look aesthetically a bit younger. Ian McGregor you could probably get away with, because, you know, he's already old by the time we get to Attack of the Clones. Like,
yeah, you can get away with Ewan McGregor with just visual. Like, you can get away with that on makeup.
Right, but Hayden Christensen, like, yeah, it didn't look like it was Hayden Christensen in his 20s. It looked like Hayden Christensen in his late 30s, early 40s. So it's like, that's the one little nitpick in there. But I'm actually glad Hayden Christensen was actually able to act again, and he seemed a whole lot more natural than he was in the prequels. He
as Anakin in that scene in particular, because I'm only gonna reference that as like the only like Anakin scene that we've seen, and like the only performance that we get out of Hayden Christensen, really. That is Anakin. That is peak Anakin in terms of like character, in terms of direction, what his motivation is. This is Anakin. This is Anakin to me.
This is it. This is what we should have gotten in Attack of the Clones. And even though I did like him in Revenge of the Sith, you still had those awkward tendencies that he had because of the weird direction of George Lucas. So
yeah, and it was awkward, but I feel like we can mostly blame that on the writing itself. Because like the prequel's writing, I mean, we could bash on the prequel writing until the day we die. But I mean, like, even outside of that, like, there were a couple of instances where, yeah, like you said, it did feel a little awkward just to like see him on screen, like trying to do something like, I don't want to say unique and different with the character, but like you could definitely tell that like something was like not right whenever he would like do something that's like that he would think would be beneficial to the character, I guess, is what I'm kind of going for.
Mm-hmm. So, another question for you.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I know nothing about this. This is just my speculation, because I do have a really strong feeling that we're going to get similar flashbacks in Ahsoka with Anakin and maybe Obi-Wan and stuff like that. Are you open to seeing Clone Wars era Anakin with Hayden Christensen in Ahsoka if they decide to do that? After seeing him in this, are you more open to seeing him as the Clone Wars era Anakin in live action?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I see where you're going at with this, because like at this point, yeah, we do have it. It kind of opens up this whole new can of worms as to like, you know, we now have two active Anakins. We have the Anakin Skywalker live action Anakin, and we have the Matt Lanter voiceover Anakin. Mm-hmm. Now, naturally, you would get away with something like this with in terms of like having multiple actors play one character. A good example of this is Darth Maul, where they had Ray Park come in to do all of the body work he filled in as the body of Darth Maul in Solo, the live action Solo, and he did the motion capture stunt work in the Clone Wars Season 7 fight with Ahsoka. You know, Ray Park was a part of that, but they were able to get away with, you know, that multiple actors playing one character thing, because there was really only one voice of Darth Maul in Sam Witwer voicing the character.
Even though Ray Park had like one line of dialogue in the Phantom Menace,
he had like a handful amount of lines in the Phantom Menace. You couldn't even remember who the actor's name was. I could probably say the actor's name, and everybody would forget that he was in Star Wars. He was he also was in Shaun of the Dead. Is all I can really.
And he also was Toad in the original X-Men movie.
Yeah. But yeah,
and he was Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe in the G.I. Joe movies, but he didn't speak. He didn't speak at all.
Not to mention, nobody cares about the G.I. Joe films, especially in this day and age. Anyway.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good.
Yeah,
But,
how's Snake Eyes going for you?
Oh, it's terrible. So I will take Ray Park as Snake Eyes all day before Henry Golding, and I like Henry Golding a lot, but he was completely miscast as Snake Eyes. But didn't Ray Park speak in Solo?
No, that was Sam Witwer.
Oh wow! But Ray Park did the.
Ray Park is now only here as the body of Darth Maul.
Wow. Okay.
He's only here for the body of Darth Maul because you could probably look him up on YouTube. He has done like countless amount of events where he would go to conventions and show people how he would do the choreography that he did in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And you could see incorporations of that when he did the motion capture in Clone Wars Season 7. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows that he took some choreography from the Phantom Menace to do motion capture for Clone Wars. Everyone knew that. But that only just further goes to show that he is only here as the body of Darth Maul, where Sam Witwer is here as our voice, where that is really where our performance is going to come in. Now, in the case of Anakin, it's hard to say at this point, because what I think would be interesting but weird is if you do what they do with Darth Maul and have Hayden Christensen as the body, but Matt Lanter as the voice, because Ahsoka would be more tied in line with like the Clone Wars, as opposed to like Obi-Wan being more so entitled and tied in with the prequels. So with the prequels, you can get away with Hayden Christensen being body and voice. You know, you can get that because Hayden Christensen came from the prequels. Now with them doing a live action Ahsoka, you can get away with Hayden Christensen being the body of Anakin. And let's say that in an argument's case, you do make him the voice. You know, people want to see more of Hayden Christensen anyway. That's fine. You know, you can do just Hayden Christensen alone. But what I feel like would be interesting, but weird at the same time, is Hayden Christensen being the body, but Matt Lanter as the voice. Because Ahsoka is more inclined with the Clone Wars, and we know Anakin from the Clone Wars more so with Matt Lanter than Hayden Christensen.
Well, okay, I'm gonna combat you on that a little bit because
my answer, I'm saying that my answer is I don't know. You could play this either way. Okay. I don't know what I want.
Okay.
You know, so I just hope that they figure it out.
Okay. In my opinion, I think they absolutely can have Hayden Christensen do a Clone Wars era Anakin in live action. And honestly, you don't need Matt Lanter to do the voice because people forget that Matt Lanter and who was the voice that did Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars?
Good question. that should give indication as to you know, we don't really know Clone Wars actors' names.
Well, we talked about Clone Wars to death on this channel. So, like,
James Arnold Taylor.
James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, they actually could get away with Hayden Christensen as Anakin because they're not going to have Ashley Eckstein come back to voice as Ahsoka.
Exactly. And I've said many times before that, like, you know, Ashley Eckstein's performance as Ahsoka is different from Rosario Dawson's performance as Ahsoka, but they're supposed to be the same character. So that's why I think it will be interesting to see how Hayden Christensen, with better direction and better writing, how he would handle Clone Wars era Anakin. You know, I think that'd be very, very interesting.
I feel like he could definitely do it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about, though, how are they going to handle young Ahsoka Tano, knowing that she ends up growing up to be Rosario Dawson? So who will be the young version of Ahsoka if they decide to do that?
I don't know. Let's look up the cast for Black Panther.
Oh my god! God damn it, man. Once again, putting black people in his bubble. Like, the black.
I'm just kidding. Oh my god, I couldn't not say that.
Yeah,
you know this.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Walk into that.
But honestly, like in actuality, like to be like serious about it, I honestly don't really know. But the first one that would really come to my mind is I don't know how they would portray right now, but let's see, how old is she? Oh no, she couldn't do it. I was thinking of the actress that's playing Ironheart in
Williams.
No.
I'm sorry. That's the character name. I'm sorry.
No. Dominic Thorne.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me look up her age.
She's 25.
She's 20. Yeah, she could do it.
Oh wait, you're talking about like her like Ahsoka's age from like the Clone Wars animated show.
Yeah, like because
yeah, then she could do it.
She could probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's funny though, because like, okay, so the Star Wars fans, don't get angry, don't take this to heart. Like, this is just I'm halfway joking about this, but like watching Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, it's strange that when they casted Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, we talked about this before. Like, I didn't expect they would cast her as Ahsoka because I'm going to be very honest with you, not because Rosario Dawson is a fantastic actress, she really is, but it's funny because even though she's an alien, she's orange, white, and blue. She sounds and acts like a white girl. So it was very weird.
Ahsoka is a sorority girl. She is a football cheerleader.
Yeah. So like it was very it took me off guard when they casted Rosario Dawson because Rosario Dawson is
first of all not the age.
I mean, not the age. No, I'm just talking about how she acts, like her cadence and how she, and how she sounds. Like she just came off as, as you said, a cheerleader, a varsity girl, and Rosario Dawson is not that. She doesn't.
Not even close.
Yeah,
I remember I saw her performance in what is it, Zombieland Double Tap. Yeah. Which is a weird example. I know that it's a pretty mediocre, okay movie. Yeah. But, like, I see her performance in that, and I try to compare that to Ahsoka, and I'm like... Huh?
Yeah, I'm like, what? Okay. Sure.
I can't say that I vibe with this, but I have faith that she can do what she wants with the character, because, Ahsoka... they casted Rosario Dawson to play an older Ahsoka. So, like, maybe the older Ahsoka is not so much as a sorority varsity cheerleader character.
Nope, she's a much more jaded. I've been through some shit. I'm a pretty serious Ahsoka. That's why I loved her I loved her portrayal up until this point. A different side to her. But anyway, back to Obi-Wan. And so in general, we really liked Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader and Anakin. Very good. So let's talk about the Inquisitors. So
let's not.
So what I will say,
we can talk about the one that's important, or quote unquote important.
Well, we'll get to her in a second because I have some thoughts. But like what I will say, because so going into the show, when they first showed how the Inquisitors were going to look, especially the Grand Inquisitor, people were mad. People were angry. They were like, what is this garbage? He looks awful. The Grand Inquisitor looks so bad. He's supposed to be the same species as that one alien dude in Revenge of the Sith. Why doesn't he look like that? The one with the red, wearing the red, I guess, and that before Obi-Wan fights General Grievous. So it's like, why does he look so bad? Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Tell me, Revenge of the Sith fans, what scene is that? Tell me right now, because I will bet you $10 that you will not remember who that character is. He was only in one scene and had like 5 lines.
Yeah, literally, these prequel lovers want to bring up like this one scene that nobody cared about up to this point. Like, it's the same species. Why didn't he look like that? The costume design was so much better in the prequels. That's why they're awesome.
Yeah. So what was the character's name in the original source?
Don't look it up on Google. It's cheap.
Don't go to the internet. Don't go to the internet. I want to see you do this. I want to see you name that character.
Yeah, I want to see you try.
Try hard.
But I will say, the first time we saw him in the trailer, I'll admit he didn't look that great. It looked like some try hard cosplay right there.
It looked like he really let himself go.
Yep. And then the other 2 Inquisitors didn't look that much better either.
I know. I don't even know who that 3rd Inquisitor is.
You talking about the female or the male?
There was the Grand Inquisitor, there was Reva, and then there was like one other one.
Well, there were 2 other ones actually.
Oh, there was 2 other ones? I didn't even know.
There was there was the female Inquisitor, and then there was the Asian-ish Inquisitor. I guess.
I don't know.
But
y'all
they were
lost me.
It's funny because they were both on Rebels. They were both in Rebels, so they're not new Inquisitors, but like.
Oh, so they were probably there to like voice the character. Then, why didn't they get Jason Isaacs?
Too much money.
I don't care. It's Disney.
Money.
It's Disney. Too much money. Okay.
Yeah,
bro.
try to save money.
Okay.
Buddy. This, like I said, this does feel like a big budget of fan film. So, like, they obviously didn't spend that much money on it. Oh, but they spend all the money in the world on Andor. But we'll save that rant for another time.
You know what? I'm willing to bet. I'm just going to say this just before we move on. I bet that Andor looks good, but looks doesn't. Just because a show looks good doesn't mean that it is. It may look good, like visually, fine. That's probably just money being thrown at the screen, and I am not here for that.
Yeah, but what makes
even if it's Star Wars, when you have to do that.
True. What makes me frustrated though, regardless of like what the quality of Andor is, it's frustrating how much resources and budget and talent they put in that show, but they don't give the same amount of attention to Obi-Wan. I'm just gonna leave that there. It's really frustrating. But back to the Inquisitors. I'll say in the context of the show, the Grand Inquisitor looks so much better. Now, I don't know if it's because they saw the negative reception of him in the trailers and they did some last-minute CGI enhancements on the Grand Inquisitor to make him look slightly better. But regardless of that, they did make him look better. And what I did like personally about the effects they put on the Grand Inquisitor is that whenever he gets aggressive or really angry, like his eyes and stuff start to change yellow and stuff like that. Because in Rebels, his eyes were yellow. But in this, for some reason, it was regular colored in the trailer. And I was like,
yeah, it was like normal human color. Oh, okay, yeah, I could sort of. Okay, yeah, they did. I guess they did do a little bit of rework.
Yeah, so I'm glad they went back and like, okay, they tried to like make him look aesthetically more similar to Rebels, and like I did like that effect. Like whenever he gets angry or aggressive, his eyes start to change to yellow and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really cool effect. Which leads more to my theory that I talked about a long time ago, that the more people are honed to the dark side, the more it physically corrupts them, and you see aesthetically that they look more evil and the yellow eyes and stuff like that. Like in Revenge of the Sith, when that one scene that Anakin had yellow eyes but never came back again, I was like, oh, is that the dark side corrupting him? So I was like, oh, that's cool. So it's kind of leading to my theory a little bit about that. So nice.
That was cool until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it was the only thing that we saw.
Yeah, because the Inquisitors in this show are wasted. Completely wasted. Like, okay, so I know in Rebels, people didn't love the Inquisitors. I get that. I know people were laughing at the fact that they were using their lightsabers as helicopters, and like all that shit. Okay, yes, I get that.
That is a little stupid. That's a little ridiculous.
And I'm glad they didn't even try to do that in the show, because if they tried to do the helicopter shit in the show, I would have been
It
like,
probably would have looked like ass.
ass. So I'm glad they didn't even try that. But this was your chance to make the Inquisitors more imposing and more scary, more of a presence, more of imposing figures. And they don't. They don't. That was such a wasted opportunity. Such a wasted opportunity. Because they wanted to put all their attention and resources on this new character, Reva, the third sister. Okay, time to open this can of worms, because like you damned if you loved her, and you're damned if you hate her. So I'm just gonna speak my piece about it, and I don't care what people gotta say. People can say that I'm racist, even though I'm black. I'm black, just like her. So how am I racist towards her?
Oh,
Okay.
well, I mean, I'll
Reverse
say-
racism.
Well, I mean, I'll say that. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let you speak your piece.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, like, I don't mean to sound this as racist, but I mean, like, black people, I guess, can have like racial slurs like here and there, and they can come off as like that. Not saying that you are. It's just
No, yeah, I know, I get you.
It's possible that they could too. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, the racial stereotypes that we have to fight through all these years. That I'm glad that mainstream stuff like Black Panther broke out of that stuff. So I'm very happy. So I'm glad about that.
Me
And
too.
honestly, and that's one of my issues with people that are complaining about with the Reva in the show, is that she seemed like the stereotypical angry black woman. No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Is that an actual argument?
That's an actual argument, that she came off as a stereotypical angry black woman.
Yo,
in
the Star
this
Wars
show.
community is dead.
They're
The
dude.
Star Wars community is just dead.
No, they've been fucking dead for years. They're just they're corpses running around at this point. Like, I can't stand the Star Wars fans. I really can't stand them. Like, they make no sense.
Some touchy ass children, I'm telling you.
They sure are. God damn. But anyway, so here's what I'll say about Reva. I have no problems with her performance. I don't have any problem with the actress personally. This has nothing to do with the color of her skin. This has nothing to do with this SJW agenda that they think that they're pushing. This has nothing to do with women power. This has nothing to do with any of that. I have no issues with her regarding any of that. The problem with Reva, in my opinion, is that she's not that interesting of a character. Or I'll just say, like, there's potential for her to be an interesting character, but she feels undercooked. That is the problem I have with her. She's underwritten, and they're pushing her too hard. That's my main issue with Reva in this show. She had the potential to be interesting. They were planting the seeds with her, and they were trying to have stuff tie in with Anakin at the beginning. That she used to be a Padawan at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 was happening, and so she has ties with that. And I guess they want to slightly show that she's unstable because of that when she becomes an Inquisitor, when Vader appoints her to be an Inquisitor. I guess they want to show that she's mentally unstable when it comes to that. So there is potential there to actually have a really good character study on Inquisitors. But it's like, it just doesn't land as well as they wanted it to, because they still leave stuff open, oblivious. Like, they don't fill in the gaps enough. Like, okay, yes, we see the flashbacks with her in the Jedi Temple, but there's not enough context to what happened. Why did Vader not kill her? why did Vader choose her specifically to be an Inquisitor? Why is she so special? They failed to answer that.
Not to mention that it kind of it falls under the category of this theory that people have been having about Darth Vader hates, like the idea that Darth Vader hates Sidious, but yet Darth Vader is on Sidious's side.
And it's like they're not keeping he's not keeping the Inquisitors a secret to the Emperor. They know that they know that he's using them.
The Emperor is the one that tells Vader to search for Inquisitors.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can't say that the Emperor doesn't know that the Inquisitors exist.
Yeah.
Because they do.
Exactly. So, yeah, the whole theory of he's trying to find a Padawan powerful enough to help him overthrow the Emperor. Okay. Sure. Well, I wouldn't choose Reva. Not her.
Yeah, I would believe that the idea behind it is that Vader is looking for one that can enhance their anger and their aggression into their power, but one of the I guess loose ends that I really have about the situation is that Reva hates Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Why is she teaming with him?
Thank you. That's what I meant to bring up.
What's the point?
You're
not gonna mess with him. He's Darth Vader. You're not gonna confuse him.
Right. And it's like, if you
dumbass,
and if you hate Vader so much, why are you willing to become an Inquisitor and work under him? If you hate him so much, but maybe that was part of her plan of her being an Inquisitor, so she can get closer to Vader, so she'll have more of an advantage to catch Vader off guard, so she can kill him.
Because Vader won't know.
Yeah, he will be totally oblivious to your feelings. And we see how that worked out.
Yeah, it's just this thing with some of these Star Wars characters that they try to throw a loophole at the person that they hate by teaming up with them, by making him so that they could think that the person that they hate trusts them. In this case, Reva could team up with Darth Vader to make Darth Vader trust Reva a little bit more, and so that Reva could pull a 180 on Vader, but that'll only make the boss man, Darth Vader, in this situation, that would make the boss man look like an idiot. Not only that, it would look like an idiot for the person that's trying to come up with the plan if the boss man knows about it. So you're gaining a bad character either way.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I'm tired of this let's team up with the bad guy even though I hate him.
Right.
Bullshit.
It is dumb. And as much as I love Kylo Ren, it follows a similar trend, with that as well. I'm going to team with the bad guy, but all along I want to kill him and become the
which ended up turning Snoke into this person that is just oblivious to people turning sides, I guess.
Yeah.
And just creates another problem there where, Kylo Ren ends up being a better character because, he was able to outsmart the Master. But the Master, it's not that the apprentice is smarter, it's that the Master is dumber.
Yeah.
Why be a Master if you're not going to see this coming?
Right. Now, but as we know, Vader's not going to fall for that shit.
He's not going to fall for that, so why is Reva trying? She literally saw Vader kill all of her friends.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying?
You saw him go to the village and just snap people's neck with a flick of a dime.
You saw him kill
people. And you thought, oh, I'm going to pull up my lightsaber and attack him from behind, and he's not going to know. By the way, I love that little squabble that Reva had with Vader. Reva's trying her hardest
Oh
to,
yeah.
to hit Vader, but Vader is just dodging them like it's nothing. Like
Yeah.
Vader's just showing how much of a boss he is, just playing with them. Like, okay, yeah, I'll play along. I'll let you do your little squabble. Let's see how skilled you actually are. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it
just goes to show even further how much Vader just knows better. Like Vader is known to these situations happening, and he thinks of every possible like outcome in this situation. So like, because like in like on one hand, Reva could actually team up with Vader and they could rule over the galaxy, or Reva could betray him. So Vader is always like in that like back of his mind thinking, what if she actually betrays me, sort of thing. And like you said, yeah, that little trade-off that they had at the end of episode 5 where they were fighting, and Vader just defeats Reva without even pulling out his own lightsaber.
Yep.
Like this man.
Yep, kept stealing her lightsaber and then giving half of it back to me, like give her a fair fight.
my man needs a Snickers.
Oh, that's so great. It's so great. But yeah, I just don't like that. I mean, I don't have a problem with them trying to build up this new character as an Inquisitor. As I said, this could have been a very interesting character study and getting into the psyche of her, of how she's become mentally unstable and like dealing with the trauma of her watching all of her fellow younglings and all the Jedi Masters getting slaughtered at the Jedi Temple. There's a lot they can use here to make her an interesting character. But as I said, it just feels all over the place. And her motivations feel all over the place. We don't know what her end goal is. We don't know what she's trying to achieve here. So
we don't know her. We don't know her motivation, and we never really got like a full answer as to, why she was an Inquisitor in the first place. Was it really? It kind of made it seem like the way that they played it off. It kind of made it seem like the Inquisitor stuff was her decision, that she wanted to become an Inquisitor, and team up with Vader. And I know that there's like this whole thing in episode 5 where it kind of made it seem like she's trying to like deny that she wants Vader dead. She's trying to act like she denies it and whatnot. I mean, honestly, I won't even try to have like any of those moments happen. I would just rather that person just go like ape shit on Vader and then just lose, because you're not beating Vader. And that's kind of what Reva did.
Yeah. Now, what I think would have been better, if they want to do like the face turn for Reva against Vader, what I think they should have done is like the whole time she's loyal to Vader. For most of the show, she should have just been full on, like being with the Inquisitors, doing what they're telling her to do, showing that she's loyal. But what if they had Obi-Wan be the one to break her slowly out of that, that loyalness to the Inquisitors? Like Obi-Wan slowly unveiling, what the true intentions of the dark side is and what Vader is, like showing that, she's being corrupted. Obi-Wan being the one to influence her to ally, to come back to the light per se, and then towards the end maybe try to face Vader. Now she's still gonna lose, but at least it won't make her look stupid that the whole time she's trying to get the one up on Vader and it's not happening.
Yeah, or they could have done a thing where it would be a situation where you wouldn't have to include the Grand Inquisitor in this situation, but it would be just a whole new group of Inquisitors that we haven't really heard of, with like Reva being one of them. and just having all of them be sort of like their own little group that like works for Vader. But Reva would be the sort of like special one that really only decided to be an Inquisitor so that they can get the revenge on Vader. And maybe Reva would sort of like have a debate with all the other Inquisitors to see if they would agree with her, and maybe you would have some of them be on her side, others not, and
then you have a big old Inquisitor fight versus Vader.
then you would have more of like an Inquisitor army fighting off against Vader. Then they would get defeated, and then it kind of sounds weird, but then would be the introduction to the Grand Inquisitor. Or like you would have like the Grand Inquisitor like be one of the people to like fight with Vader. Like they would be like,
yeah,
they'd be Grand Inquisitor before they were promoted to be Grand Inquisitor. So they were just normal. They were just a normal guy.
Uh-huh.
And they would work their way up so that, how am I trying to word this? They would betray the Inquisitors that want to defeat Vader. And this Grand Inquisitor guy would team up with Vader and kill everybody there, basically.
That actually would have been good.
Because then the Grand Inquisitor would actually do stuff.
Right.
Instead of die and then come back.
I was mad too when that first happened. I thought they straight up killed the Grand Inquisitor, and I'm like, dude, that's not supposed to happen.
I was gonna say, like, this isn't supposed to be a thing. Like, first off, he shouldn't even be here.
I mean, they needed something to, because they can't have Vader in every episode, so they need some sort of opposing force that could physically get in the confrontation with Obi-Wan. And what's the other one?
So have more Inquisitors.
I guess, but they wanted to have the Inquisitors that people are familiar with, so we'll be more emotionally invested in it, I guess. So I see why they did that. But
in that case, just make Reva more of a imposing threat.
True.
As opposed to her just solely being focused on like, emotional Inquisitor person. They could sort of like transform into being, like second guessing themselves as to like, oh, maybe I'm sort of working for the wrong person here, and I'm sort of like remembering, how all of this is happening. I'm sure they could play off that memory thing a little bit better and all of that amnesia stuff, but like, it could work. And then you would have the younger Grand Inquisitor be sort of like the one that's like eavesdropping on the rest of the Inquisitors that are wanting to team up against Vader.
Yeah. And then another thing, they won't write themselves into a corner having just the Inquisitors that we know from Rebels, because if they get into a fight with Obi-Wan, we know that they don't die. Like, we can't kill them off. So they would write themselves into a corner being like, okay, if they get into a fight, we know that we can't kill them. So at least if you have new Inquisitors, as you said, then they can get killed, because they don't show up in future like installments of the Star.
Yeah, I know that there's this one Inquisitor from Rebels that had like a helmet on and had like a muffled voice.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have that character, like a younger version of that character, fight with Reva, get severely damaged, but is able to escape.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or if they want to tie into the video games, they could bring in a couple of the Inquisitors from Jedi Fallen Order.
But would they do that?
Probably not. Especially I forget which sister it was. If it was the second sister or the first sister, that really big Inquisitor, like they would need some money for that. But
yeah.
But yeah, that would be cool. And then like the main Inquisitor from Jedi Fallen Order, she was really good. But I don't know if you want to kill her off in an Obi-Wan show, but I don't know. Like, that's funny though. Now that I brought that up, like what they did with her, with that Inquisitor in Jedi Fallen Order, I feel like that's what they were trying to do with Obi-Wan with Reva, because they seem very similar.
They do, yeah.
So that's very fascinating.
Except the one in Fallen Order didn't really turn on Vader. She just had hate for him, and she just failed her mission.
Yeah. But of course, once again, you saw the conflict with the Inquisitor, which, like, I just wish we saw more of with Reva.
Yeah, you saw both sides of the coin from that character, as opposed to Reva just being, I'm really just doing this for my own good, and I really just want to kill Vader. And this,
You love
like,
that.
I appreciate what you were trying to do there, and I can respect it. But like, when that's like the best, like, defining moment of your character, that I don't know. That's not saying much.
Yeah.
Sorry to break it to you.
Right. I guess to talk about the other, like, secondary characters, like Kumail Nanjiani. Let's get him out the way.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Why is he in the show?
Who the hell? Who likes this guy, and why is he on all of the big stuff?
Apparently, a lot of people like him.
I don't care about. I don't care about audiences or fan service. I don't care.
What fan service is he?
Get this guy out of my Star Wars show.
Like, he literally I think he just walked off the set of the Eternals. Is like, you know what? I'm in the same studio. Let me walk to the Star Wars and see if they need some work.
So stupid. He was bad in that movie too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not him like the actor, but like him as an actor is fine. He just can't do these big budget projects. He can't do Star Wars. He can't do Marvel. He can do, like, what is this, Big Sick? Like,
Big Sick, yeah.
Yeah, he could do that. He's fine in that.
Yeah.
Because romance comedy is what he does. He is romance comedy guy. He is not action adventure guy or sci-fi fantasy.
I'm gonna call it right now. He's gonna be in Jungle Cruise too. I'm calling it right now.
There's gonna be a second Jungle Cruise?
Yes. There's gonna be a second Jungle Cruise.
And that's the one with. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know. I haven't seen it before.
It's good. It's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid. Is it funny? It has jokes.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has some funny moments. Yes.
Is it supposed to be funny though? Like, is it intended to be funny, or is it intended to be an action adventure, which is what I'm seeing right here?
It's trying to be in a similar vein as Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, honestly, you could get away with that. You can get away with it.
Yeah,
You can.
I think that's probably the best. That's probably the best thing he could be in Disney wise outside of Marvel and Star Wars. Like, if he showed up in like a Jungle Cruise, or if like I don't know. I feel like he might be in a Disney live action remake at some point, but
you need him to be like a ridiculous character, and I feel like you could, like, I haven't seen Jungle Cruise, but I feel like you could do that with a franchise like that. You could do that with Jumanji.
If they do a Jumanji 4, I don't want
if they do, but I don't know. I haven't heard any reports.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, okay. So I didn't think he was as bad as he was in Eternals in this show, but he did feel out of place. He really did.
He felt just as out of place as Eternals. Just as out of place. Like, maybe not bad performance-wise, or like maybe character-wise as bad as Eternals, but equally out of place.
Yeah,
he does not fit in Star Wars.
Right, and like he's doing this con stuff, like pretending to be a Jedi, and he's doing the cheap parlor tricks and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, really? This is what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
Now, not saying this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea, but I thought maybe it would have been interesting to see Kumail Nanjiani as a Jedi, a legit Jedi Knight. That would have been so interesting to see. That would have been bad, but I'm like,
it would have been so bad. But honestly, it would be bad, not because I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It would just be weird. It'd be really weird, but like, it'd be interesting to see like a character or like a Jedi character that's like ridiculous. It would be bad, but like it would be interesting to see like what they would like do with that.
Yeah.
And see how bad they would flop.
Yeah, him fighting with I kind of see him with maybe a green lightsaber, maybe.
He's a green lightsaber guy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, this whole con artist stuff didn't really care for that at all. Now was interesting. Now I'm glad that they went off world in this show because I was worried that the whole show was going to be on Tatooine, so I was kind of happy about that, and they did it, and they incorporated it in a way where it made sense for the most part for him to go off world. Because I'm sure people are mad, like, why is he going off world? He's supposed to watch Luke, blah 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 blah. He's equally responsible for Luke and Leia, so
yeah,
I was fine with that, and like with Bail Organa came back too. Yeah, he's back. I'm glad they brought him back.
He was pretty good too. He was only in like a few episodes, but he did the part.
Yeah, so glad he came back. But yeah, they did it in a way where it made sense for Obi-Wan to leave Tatooine. It didn't feel forced, and that's what I was very happy about that. What other supporting characters? Indira Varma as Tala, that one lady that disguised herself as an Imperial officer and was helping Obi-Wan.
Oh, dude, she was so funny.
Wait, what?
the only thing, okay, her character's fine.
Uh-huh.
Her character's fine. The only thing that I go back to on this character, though, episode 4, you would know this instantly.
Oh God, I already know.
4.
I already know. It took me a minute but I was like, oh, yeah.
She's like getting taken by like a pair of stormtroopers on each arm down the hallway somewhere. Her way of escaping, I shit you not. Ugh. On the helmet.
He literally yanked that dude's take that. Oh God.
I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst piece of Star Wars from the show ever. This episode 4 was the worst episode from
that was really bad
by far.
That was the worst one for sure. That was so bad. Oh my God. And also, another thing. Now that I'm remembering, like on top of that, okay, this trope in Star Wars, and like other films that do it in general, this needs to stop. This needs to stop. Why do they keep doing this? When she disguises herself as an Imperial officer, and then she's going through the base, and you have the other Imperial officers questioning her, being like, "What squadron are you at?" Like, and she's like, I was told by I'm paraphrasing, but like I was told by Darth Vader that I need to do this stuff. Do you want me to tell Vader that you're questioning my duty or whatever? Like I'm a runner-up. Just believe me. And if you don't believe me, I'm gonna tell on you. So you better do as I say.
Shut up.
That is so stupid.
For God's sake.
Like, the Imperial dude can't take 5 seconds to look up her credentials to see that she's actually an Imperial officer. Like, you're gonna be like they're afraid, that she's gonna tattle on me, that I'm being insubordinate, even though you're doing your job. You're supposed to be checking that these Imperial officers and the stormtroopers are supposed to be where they're supposed to be, and they are who they say they are. That's your job. And you're going to be scared to do your job because this guy or girl is going to possibly tattle on you that you're being insubordinate for doing your job and checking to make sure that people are supposed to be where they're at. I hate that trope that they do it. I hate it. They do it in Star Wars. They do it in other shit too, and it's stupid. Stop doing it. It's idiotic.
I guess they sort of did the same concept in Return of the Jedi as well.
Oh yeah, they did that in New Hope and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So okay. Oh, that one, even though it's stupid there, slightly let it slide because they were the first to do that. So fine.
The original Star Wars?
Yeah, they were one of the first people to do that.
Yeah, and honestly, I can let them bypass anyway, because if it was an Imperial officer, then we would be bashing about this for years. But since they're stormtroopers, the stormtroopers are not, like, real human beings. Aren't they supposed to only be, like, still clones?
Well, by the time they got to A New Hope, they were using regular people.
I thought they started using regular people in The Force Awakens.
No, because at in Revenge of the Sith, Sidious said that they wanted all the clones to shut down.
They wanted all the droids to shut down.
Oh yeah.
Droid units.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're
right. So the clone troopers turn into, because we saw in Bad Batch, there was the design that was like the transition between the clones and the stormtroopers. So the stormtroopers are the clones in the original trilogy.
However, since this takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, then between that period, I think that's when they slowly start the transition into regular people, because Bad Batch takes place like literally right after Revenge of the Sith. So
I guess Empire may have had some sort of like influence on some people to have them like help the Empire in some way, and then there's the group of people that's like, no, we don't really want to do this and all that stuff, and that's when you get some planets that are like in like lockdown mode.
Right.
So okay, all right, fine. So yeah, like still, then yeah, either way, you would still have like the stormtroopers that they beat up and took their suits from. Mm-hmm. They probably could have checked like ID. They could have had like their information and whatnot, because like, you're not gonna like take off the stormtrooper's helmet.
No.
You can bypass that.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't care about your face. I just care if you're still wearing like white plastic armor. If you're still wearing that, then yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, but like yeah, when she's wearing just a regular Imperial outfit with her face, people
that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It just seems goofy. It's some Scooby-Doo bullshit right there. So anyway, I thought she was fine outside of that, and the helmet. This is stupid. Oh, so stupid. But she was fine. O'Shea Jackson Jr. He was fine too. Not much to say about him. O'Shea Jackson Jr. is in Star Wars. Ice Cube's son.
Oh, the fuck? Who was he?
He was that dude that well, he was working with
Who was that dude?
I know. He was I know. He was that dude. He was working with Tala with the rebels.
Oh, you know what? Okay, yeah, I could sort of see it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't like Obi-Wan at first, and
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that is him. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Right. Yeah, he was fine. Yeah, I think that's the only memorable.
Yeah, that's really all that there is.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, I mean, good, because you're making a 2.5-hour film. You don't need this many characters.
Honestly, yeah, there's too many supporting characters in this show. Like,
yeah.
Man, you could just feel them they're trying to stretch out the runtime to make it a show.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so if they didn't want to do a theatrical release, fine. But how come they couldn't just do a Disney Plus exclusive movie if they didn't want to release it theatrically?
Right.
I mean,
well, I guess that kind of opens up a new can of worms, because people would bring up the situation with like Black Widow and stuff like that, because like Black Widow was released as like both theaters and Disney Plus. Even if Scarlett Johansson didn't want it to be on Disney Plus at all, like we could talk about that like another time.
Well,
like,
it's not just because she didn't want it. Like in her contract, it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to only be in theaters.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But there's a difference with that because that wasn't supposed to happen. It being in theaters and on Disney Plus, that wasn't supposed to happen. But like for them to exclusively make a movie on Disney Plus, like with the live action Pinocchio recently, like couldn't they do that with Star Wars? With some of the movies, a couple of movies, like that, they can save the main numerical saga stuff for the big screen, sure. But if they're apprehensive to do spin-offs, like they don't all have to be a show. Like you can do a couple of Disney Plus exclusive films that are spin-offs,
Yeah.
Like even though I would want to see Rogue Squadron on the big screen, I wouldn't mind if they did like a Disney Plus exclusive movie with Rogue Squadron. If they were apprehensive about that.
Why are they releasing that in theaters if they're doing Obi-Wan and Boba Fett on just Disney Plus?
That's what I'm saying. Like the priorities are all over the place. It doesn't make sense.
Same thing with Ahsoka. Like even if Ahsoka was like mainly on TV, like you could get away with her being in theaters.
Right. I think she's a popular enough character where I think people will see her in the theaters.
Yeah.
Popular enough Star Wars character. But like, yeah, it's just that's nuts. I mean, probably I'm thinking from a business standpoint, if they probably wanted this to be a show because they know if they just had a movie, then the conversation the conversation toward it won't be as long as it was if it was a show, because they're releasing episodes weekly. So that means that people will be talking about this show longer, and there's more of a chance that people will subscribe to Disney Plus if they release episodes weekly, which is why the binge model that Netflix is doing is hurting them now, because them releasing all their episodes in one day, yeah, people will talk about it for maybe a week, but then it'll be done because everyone has watched all the episodes now because people aren't talking about it anymore. So that's probably their mindset of why they don't want to just release a movie about it. They want people to still talk about it and get more subscribers up. So probably that's why they did it. But like, you probably would have had a much more coherent show, and you probably would have had a much more positive reception if they at least tried to have Disney Plus exclusive movies like they do with some of their Disney live action remakes. I don't think that would have been a problem. But anyway, okay, so the last thing I guess for us to talk about is that final fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Oh, where do I start with this?
It was too dark.
Yeah, that's one thing.
not in terms of like themes. I'm saying like in terms of
how
like how it's lit.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. And
the joke is you're looking like a DC film out here.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was actually some people that were actually able to fix the color correction of that fight, and they were able to post it on YouTube and just to show what it would have looked like with better lighting. And it actually doesn't look that bad. But the problem is, Obi-Wan and Vader went to a dark ass planet in the middle of nighttime just so that they can have their brawl out.
Yeah. Speaking of edits, because I'm sure people would want us to mention this if we watched it. Did you see the editor's cut of Obi-Wan where they cut it down to like a 2-hour-ish movie?
I've heard about it. I don't know where to find it. Is it on YouTube?
I think if you look up Obi-Wan, I forget which channel did it, but I'm sure like they have a link to it so you can watch it, because you can't watch it on YouTube obviously.
Oh damn. Okay.
But like, yeah, somebody, I forgot who did it, but I'm sure if you look up Obi-Wan like editor's cut or something like that, I'm sure you'll find like a video where they send you a link to it. I forget what channel did it, but I watched it for people that know what I'm talking about. I did watch it, and yeah, it flows a lot better. Like, this definitely shows that it should have been a movie. They cut out all the fluff. They structured things a little bit more coherently. And
Is it the Patterson cut?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I'll take a look at it at some point.
Yeah, it definitely does flow better, but man, getting back to the fight. Yeah, you're right. It is lit very dark. It's like they're using natural lighting, and they're having the lightsabers be the source of light for their fight. Which I understand conceptual wise. I understand why they wanted to experiment with that. In theory, that's kind of interesting, because they're trying to do a similar thing of what they did with the Force Awakens when Rey and Finn were fighting Kylo Ren in the forest, and like the biggest source of light was their lightsabers. However, it was still better lit because of the moonlight effect. So it's like it wasn't like completely pitch black and all you saw was their lightsabers. On top of that, yeah, the camera work is not that interesting in this fight. It's really not.
That's another problem that I have with it, is that and since I went to film school, I can actually bash this film with all.
Yeah, we went to film schools.
The basic filming tropes, like camera work, not good.
It's not good. Now, it doesn't suffer from the quick cuts and close-up problems that
that you would normally see from recent like superhero projects that you would see, or even like some of the Star Wars projects.
Right.
It's not like that.
No, it's just like the shots just feel lazy. It just it doesn't feel, it makes the pacing of the fight feel slow, I would say. It doesn't feel as like the tension doesn't feel as urgent as it should be, and like this should be the height of tension because it's Obi-Wan and Vader fighting again. Like that, there should feel adrenaline pumping. Now, am I expecting the same type of intensity with Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith? No, I'm not. But as far as, and I'm sure like what they were trying to do was bridge the gap between the high choreography from the prequels and the more emotionally driven fights of the original trilogy. I feel like they're probably trying to bridge the gap there and not have it be too quick paced, but not too slow either. So I don't know what they were trying to do with that. But like I said, the environment is just so dull in that fight.
Yeah.
And it's like there are some cool stuff happening in that fight. They're using their force powers and stuff like that. And like there was that one part where Vader was throwing a bunch of boulders at him and like almost buried him and stuff like that. So like there's some cool stuff happening there, but it's just like it's not as exciting as I was hoping for it to be. Definitely pales in comparison to their fight in Revenge of the Sith, but as I said, I'm not expecting it to be as amazingly choreographed as that fight. But just like, if you're not going to give us like the high octane action from that, at least have us be driven emotionally with that fight. And for the most part, they did. But after that fight, I was just asking to myself, did I need that? Do I feel fulfilled after that? No. And it kind of, I'll be honest, that fight was already kind of ruined for me before we even got there, because we already had a physical confrontation with them in the episode 3. We already had a physical confrontation with them already when Vader put him in the fire and stuff like that. So like,
which was even more terrifying.
Yeah.
Than anything that they ever did in the final fight.
Right. And so like the gravitas of that final fight was already ruined because they already faced each other. Now, what I thought would have been better is if, okay, so I think it would have been better if they didn't even fight until the last episode. They didn't get into a physical confrontation at all.
They could have they could have moments where they would like have like stare downs would be being like a weird term for it, but like, you know, they would have moments like
verbal
like connections, like verbal confrontations between the two. Like, you know, where have you been all these years? Like, why were you never there to like protect me and stuff like that? You know, you can have that stuff, and you can even mention that in your final fight as well. But like,
you could even still have the scene with Vader putting him in the fire, but just
in the final, well, without them like not in the final episode, like in episode 3, just like have Vader only push Obi-Wan into the fire and sort of like lure him there just to have Obi-Wan feel Vader's pain instead of them like lightsaber fighting their way over there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And okay, so, and I'll try to meet people halfway because I'm sure viewers watching the show would want more action with the lightsaber fights. So I'm gonna try and meet them halfway. For one thing, you kind of already have some lightsaber action because you had the flashbacks with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the prequel era. So in the Attack of the Clones era, whatever, you already kind of have that already. But okay, so this is where they need to utilize the Inquisitors more. So if they want to have more lightsaber action to, you know, to keep the viewers, if they need to have Obi-Wan get in a lightsaber fight, you need to have the Inquisitors be the startup battle for him. Be like a test drive for Obi-Wan because he hasn't used a lightsaber in 10 years. So he's going to be very rusty at first. So have it be where Obi-Wan faces the Inquisitors first and him trying to get the hang of using a lightsaber again. And then that in turn will make the Inquisitors look more physically imposing because Obi-Wan is weaker. And so we treat them, we take them more seriously as, you know, imposing threats. And so by the time we get to the fight with Vader, he'll be more accustomed to him using a lightsaber and stuff like that. And so the fight will feel a little bit more earned at that point. So that's probably how I would have done it.
Yeah, I can see that. I think another way that they could have done it is, you know, in episode 3, you know, you could have a lightsaber fight there, but you would have Reva fighting Obi-Wan there. You would have Reva simply pushing Obi-Wan over to where Vader is. You know, Vader would say, you know, step away, you know, Obi-Wan is mine. You know, that's when he would lift him up and, you know, ignite the fire. You know, it would be as simple as just, you know, having that change, as opposed to having to see Obi-Wan be shown as like just this guy that is just running away from everything.
Exactly.
You know, like, you know, there are moments where, you know, he would like stumble upon an Inquisitor and they would end up catching up to him and they would want to brawl.
Yep.
You know, so have Reva be more of a opposing threat to Obi-Wan, or just as an opposing threat, just to be able to confront Obi-Wan and to actually put up a winning fight. You know, make her threatening, you know, make her, you know, just, there's no other way to put it. You know, just make her intimidating, make her threatening.
Yeah, simple as that. So yeah, that's probably how I would have done it. Like because they should already know that we're already going to be apprehensive about Vader and Obi-Wan fighting again. Like they should have savored that moment for, you know, for that one finale to make it feel more special, I would say. And they could find other ways to still have exciting action in there. Oh, you know what? Another thing that I thought was dumb. I guess we're treading way back to Leia real quick because we got to talk about this. You probably know what I'm about to say.
Her droid?
No, the droid was cute. The droid was fine.
I was gonna say droid is fine, but like I thought that was
the chase scene in the forest with the kidnappers. That was so bad.
yeah.
That was very bad. What were they thinking? They made it look like this 10-year-old girl can outrun these grown adults.
Mm-hmm.
That was so stupid. And that's another thing of them trying to pad out the runtime. Like I feel like they put that in there because they need to pad out the runtime to make it longer. So they have to have this chase scene to draw out shit. Like because they literally could have just cut that entire sequence out and just had one of the kidnappers already capture her from behind. And would have moved on with our lives. We didn't need to see that chase at all.
Yeah, there was really no reason for that chase scene to be as long as it was.
No. And then, okay, this is probably a nitpick, but, it's another thing of, like, common sense, guys, because we already talked about, Tala with the Imperial officer uniform and nobody recognizes her. How does nobody recognize that's Obi-Wan in a traditional Jedi uniform with a lightsaber on the side?
Yeah.
He's walking around in public looking like a Jedi, and nobody puts two together. That's a nitpick, though, because I'm sure everyone wants to see him in his, in a somewhat similar look as he was in the prequel. So okay, fine, whatever. But I'm just like, I think people would have noticed him a lot quicker if he was running around with that with a lightsaber on the side. He doesn't even try to hide that. Like, at least hide the lightsaber,
right.
at the very least. But it's whatever. They wanted that iconic moment of when he's about to go off world and like you see the lightsaber on the side, like yeah, lightsaber. Ooh. But whatever. Okay.
Maybe he was just good at hiding it, even though it was you could probably still see it anyway.
Right, dude. Kid Anakin could see Qui-Gon's lightsaber when they first met on Tatooine.
Yeah.
That's your laser sword.
Anakin is special though.
Okay, yeah, sure. Anakin is special. Like he used the midichlorians to find that out. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing I wanted to ask you. How did you feel about Reva revealing to Obi-Wan that Anakin was Darth Vader, or that he was still alive?
There were two things that were wrong with there. First off, it was that character alone that said it to Obi-Wan. A character who we all see as this, like, character that's, like, trying to be important, but, like, not really. Kind of character saying, yeah, by the way, Anakin is alive. And, second off, I don't know why she would even say it in the first place.
First of all, how does she even know that?
And yeah, how does she know who Anakin is? Well, I guess there could be a little bit of a connection, because she probably knew who Anakin was, like at the Jedi Temple, like before all the Order 66 stuff happened, and then she saw him murder everybody.
Right.
But I feel like her issue is that she's seeing Anakin and Vader as two separate individuals.
Right, but on top of that, how does Reva know that, like, that Vader has any emotional connection to Obi-Wan?
Right.
That's the main issue I have, because like maybe she put two and two together when she was becoming an Inquisitor. That maybe she put two and two together that Anakin and Vader was the same person, because Vader was the one that invaded the temple and stuff like that. So maybe.
So show that.
Yeah, show. Don't tell.
Yeah.
Like, did you not learn anything from George Lucas? But anyway, but that's the thing. But like, I keep complaining about this when we're talking about the previous Star Wars stuff, that we need to see more context from that invasion on the Jedi Temple with the 501st and Anakin slaughtering the Jedi. We still keep getting breadcrumbs with that. And now that it's actually becoming like an important plot point in the show, why are you still giving us breadcrumbs? And it's slowly becoming an important part with Grogu's stuff. And you're still giving us breadcrumbs. And if you give me breadcrumbs again in Mandalorian Season 3, I'm going to be freaking mad. But anyway, just give us the 501st invasion on the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
Why can't you just give that to us full out? Full out. I want to see it. I don't care that the video game already did it. I want to see it in a live action form. Anyway, that's enough of my tangent.
Well, that's a want.
That's
But
a
do we
one.
need it?
Do I need it? Yes, I'm going to argue that we need it. I'm going to argue that we need it.
I'm gonna argue that we only need like more clips of 501st, and then I want to see like some fan editor like putting all the clips together, like piecing everything from Obi-Wan to any other projects that have like a live action Order 66 or even animated Order 66, like from the Clone Wars and from Bad Batch. I want to see it all put together.
Sure. That probably it'll make up like maybe 3 minutes.
That's longer than 3 minutes, I'm afraid, but
I guess. Or hell, like since they don't want to do it, I'll probably do a fan film of that. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to put us in a Disney Plus thing. They want to put it on film. I will do a fan film of the 501st invasion. It probably will cost me a lot of money, and I need to find the right talent that looks like the characters to find someone that looks like Anakin. But hell, that will be my dream project, to do a 501st invasion on the Jedi Temple fan film. I will do that. And
there you go, DL fans. Start budgeting. Start doing fundraisers.
Yes, fundraiser. What's that website called? GoFundMe. GoFundMe.
Oh, GoFundMe. Yeah, there's that too.
Oh, Patreon. I don't know if I'm big enough to do Patreon, but Dave down the line, cash at me. I don't know.
Cash App.
Cash App.
Yeah, I got Venmo.
Venmo. But anyway. Okay, so one other thing that I thought that was completely unnecessary, that they just need to tack on to the finale to try to give more like tension and stakes. Why is Reva trying to kill young Luke?
Don't even get me started with that.
Made no sense whatsoever.
She did not even know that Vader is Luke's father.
Yeah, does he even know that he has kids? Does she even know that he has kids?
Yeah, does she? And if she does, how does she know like suddenly everything?
Right, like she knows where he is. So if she knows where he is, that means Vader's know where he is. And if Vader knows where he is, why doesn't he try to snatch him earlier?
Not only that, like it's not to mention, like, if it's not because that Reva knows that Vader is Luke's father, then it has to be because that Obi-Wan has a connection with Luke. So how would she know that?
I guess if we wanna reach for something, maybe she kind of knew that Obi-Wan had an affiliation with Owen. So maybe that could be the tie, but that's stretching. That's reaching for something. It still doesn't make any sense.
That's hard reaching, but yeah.
It's
a hard stretch.
It's hard to stretch. And it's like, even if that's the case, why would she specifically go to kill Luke? So that it just doesn't make any sense. It's them trying to, like I said, like I thought we could have used a lot more Luke in this show, to balance out the Leia stuff, because they're both equally important. But
yeah,
this was their contrived way of keeping Luke important in the show.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of like, Luke living his daily lives, and then, he ends up running into trouble at one point, and then Obi-Wan saves him.
Yeah.
from any danger, because we like. I know that we want there to be like this whole reveal of Luke doesn't know who Obi-Wan is yet, because I guess in the show Luke didn't even know who Obi-Wan was until the end of the show, and they wanted to have that iconic line of "Hello there." They wanted to have that moment.
Becomes Ben. Yeah.
And but like just have like a scene or so, like just have a scene of Luke living his daily life, like maybe like a month after the events of the Obi-Wan show, and then Obi-Wan would save him. You know?
Maybe some Tusken Raiders or something try to invade or something. I don't know.
Or, play it off as Luke already knows who Obi-Wan is or who Ben Kenobi is, and just have a scene like in the first episode of Obi-Wan saving Luke.
Yeah.
I just want a scene of that happening instead of just the one that we have in A New Hope.
Right. Because, in A New Hope, like Luke already, well, like I said, they probably they wanted to save Luke and Ben meeting at the very end, which is fine, I guess. But like,
did we have to show them meeting up at the end?
Actually, I think they do, because you have to establish that, because Luke knew about Ben in A New Hope, so they have to establish how they know each other.
How they met? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How they met each other.
All right, fine.
But yeah, he doesn't know that he's a Jedi and stuff like that, though. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if they did what you're suggesting, that he would save Luke from like whatever danger there is, then he would have to figure out a creative way to save him without using his force powers. So that would have been interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. Like they could have had like one scene in the first episode where Luke is like getting himself into trouble, and then Obi-Wan saves him, but Luke would try to look around to see like who would save him. But then in the last episode, a similar scenario happens, but Ben saves him this time with Luke knowing who saved him.
Yeah.
There'd be that bit of like connection between the first and the last episode. Plus, It would build the relationship between Luke and Ben more.
Yeah. Okay, so the only other thing to talk about is something that I called. I'm actually really happy this happened. They actually did it. They found a way. Liam Neeson as Force Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn
in the flesh
returns.
Or in the vision, in the ghost? Because he's not flesh. I guess it's Liam Neeson in flesh. Okay.
It's actually Liam Neeson that returned to do scenes. And even though it was only for like a minute, but I'm still happy they were able to get Liam Neeson to come back. Man. I was just so happy. There's not much to say about that. Like, I'm just so happy to see him back, because I love Qui-Gon Jinn so much. And okay, and then they had the whole thing of, where have you been? I've been trying to contact you. I was like, I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just wasn't ready to see yet. Which, like, I kind of get, because Obi-Wan kind of lost his ways, and like he was he pretty much abandoned the way of the Jedi. So I could see why he wasn't there the whole time. We didn't see him earlier, because he wanted to abandon everything with the Force and stuff like that. So okay, I understand that. Even though I wanted to see him throughout the show, but in the story that they're telling, I'm like, I understand why. And this, what? Going back to this should have been a movie. Do you know how much the crowd would like freak out in the theater if Qui-Gon,
if they saw Liam Neeson
come back at the end? Oh man, that's like a mid-credit scene for the MCU or DC. Like Qui-Gon Jinn coming back at the end. Like, people would have loved it, man. That was so great.
They actually could have played it off as an end credit sequence, now that I think about it.
No, I don't think there should have been a mid-credit scene. Like he could have showed up at the very end. Like that would have been fine. Because like I don't want Star Wars to do mid-credit scenes now. That would be too much. But like
Yeah.
him showing up at the very end, I'm completely okay with that. That would have been cool. And like they're going off on adventures. That would be great.
Right.
Okay, so 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One, do you think Qui-Gon Jinn will come back for a bigger role in a future Star Wars project? And 2, do you think we're going to get a season 2 where we'll get Qui-Gon be more involved and stuff like that? Will we even get a season 2 and actually see where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are going?
I think there actually have been reports about a season 2 actually happening for Obi-Wan. So in my mind, a season 2 would be more inclined with, since we didn't really get much of this in season 1, Ben Kenobi being more protective of Luke, and Qui-Gon would be there as sort of like his guide, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But what I sort of want to know is if there's like really any limit to like Force ghosts.
Well, after the sequel trilogy, not really.
I know that after the sequel trilogy, not really, but think about it. We didn't really get an Obi-Wan Force ghost to communicate with Luke in the sequels.
No, should have been. But...
and we never. And I know that there wouldn't be a really legit way to do this, but we didn't get Qui-Gon Jinn to be Obi-Wan's Force ghost in the original trilogy. Which again, there wasn't really a way where you could do that. But like, I just want to know if there's like really any limit to how long the Force ghosts can like stay like active, I guess.
So my headcanon theory about that is probably the reason why we don't see Qui-Gon that much anymore, or Obi-Wan or Anakin that much as Force Ghosts anymore, is maybe because like they probably, like Luke and Obi-Wan probably reached a point and their Jedi as a Jedi where it's like they don't need them anymore. So it's like that's why we don't see them as often. That's probably just my theory about it. I'm probably completely off base with that, but that's probably the thing that would make the most sense to me, being like they're only there if you need them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So then, if that were the case, then the chances of Liam Neeson coming back again for like a season 2, maybe for a scene, honestly, like a scene or 2, because if you were to do an Obi-Wan season 2, I don't even know what the conflict would be.
I don't either. So part of me is like, I don't think they should do a season 2 because we don't know what the conflict would be, because then they'll probably get so desperate to where, we're going to retcon Darth Maul. We're going to bring Darth Maul. Like,
yeah.
No, just don't do that. Don't do that.
We're good. We don't need this.
Nope. And like, if they do decide to continue with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, I want to see him in the old makeup as old Ben. I would love to see that. But again, I don't know what he would do, because there's not much that happens on Tatooine after that point. He'd be in the desert all day doing nothing.
Yeah. It would be difficult to see where they would go for in like a season 2, but I feel like if they did go for season 2, it would be more Luke focused, as opposed to season 1 being more Leia focused.
Which I think that's something they could do, to have it be more Luke focused, and maybe he gets in danger and he gets captured too, and then he has to rescue him.
But then again, wouldn't that be sort of like a retcon as to, well, not a retcon, but like a continuity error as to like Luke wanting to like go out and like help like the Rebel Alliance or something like that?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, I wasn't gonna have it be that extreme, but yeah, you are right about that. Like he's supposed to be just a regular farm boy that wants to go out and do other things. So it's like we have to keep that intact. Like, he shouldn't be out doing all these crazy adventures because he wants to be on crazy adventures. He hasn't done it yet. That was one of his point of contention is in New Hope that he doesn't get to do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to keep that intact.
And we can't really have like some sort of like galactic threat trying to like take down Luke.
Because nobody knows that Luke's there.
Nobody knows who Luke is, and Luke
Yeah.
doesn't even know who anyone is.
Right. So
You know,
so maybe this should stay as a limited series.
it would be better off if this stayed as a limited series. It already ended off like in the best way that they could to have it be a limited series anyway, with Qui-Gon coming back as, you know, the fan favorite, you know, Force Ghost. You know, maybe they go off and do like some weird adventures together and whatnot, and then it'll all eventually just fall into place when A New Hope comes.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think we covered everything. Overall, this show's all right. It's an all right show. It's not bad, but it's not great either. And I was hoping for this to be a lot better because of how important Obi-Wan is as a character and how great it was they were actually able to get Ian McGregor to come. I mean, did I say Ian McGregor or Obi-Wan? Sorry. I'll say it again. Since I messed up.
it was nice for Ewan McGregor to come back as Obi-Wan, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, it was great to have Ian McGregor come back as Obi-Wan. So I was hoping that they would give him some great writing and a great story to tell. And halfway they did. And you do see glimpses of that great story, but it doesn't feel focused. And you could tell that this was a last-minute change with them from turning this into a movie into a show. And it shows because there's a whole bunch of filler and unnecessary supporting characters and inconsistent motivations and them retreading the same plot point over and over again. It's just, and once again, I'm going to say, like, the whole feel and direction of the show felt like a big budget indie movie fan film. And like, this is not the kind of treatment that you should be giving to Obi-Wan, because he's one of your flagship characters of Star Wars. You need to treat him more with care, not just with this random rebel officer that has zero personality whatsoever. You know exactly who I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
it's just so sad that they didn't treat this more with care. Now, as I said, this is a better show than Book of Boba Fett, but this is not the best Star Wars show by a mile. Mandalorian is still the king when it comes to, you know, the Disney Plus shows right now. But man, I just don't understand what went wrong. What I will say is that Eagle McGregor was great. It was great to see Hayden Christensen come back as Anakin and Darth Vader. This is some of the best Darth Vader stuff I've seen. Reva's had the potential to be a really good character, but as I said, her motivations and it was just all over the place. The Inquisitors were wasted. I did like Kid Leia. I thought she was really good. The actress playing her, I thought she was very good as well. Vivian. So I thought that was really good. I just wish the show was more focused. I wish they just turned this into a Disney Plus exclusive movie and stuff will be more coherent, but they wanted to keep this as a show, which I understand from a business standpoint. I understand why they decided to do it. But I felt like it hurt the quality of the show overall by doing this. It feels forced. I said again, forced. So overall, this show is going to get... Geez, maybe it's an average... Maybe I'll give it average. Maybe above average. It's between that. Average and above average. But anyway, Ruby, your thoughts?
Yeah, you're pretty much hitting the nail in the coffin here. I mean, there was so much potential for like a prequel character to actually be given the quality of, you know, storytelling and writing that you would see from some of the best pieces of Star Wars material. most notably with the original trilogy, and I guess like now most recently with the Mandalorian kind of running the train on Disney Plus shows. There was potential there for Obi-Wan to be a more focused character, but it just appears to be just another generic Star Wars mission that we've seen multiple times. We have seen this happen in multiple other projects before, to the point where this has sort of gotten old now and a little bit repetitive. And this time they do it in a way that it's just like, I feel like they've sort of run out of ideas on like how to tell like good stories. And maybe there was like good characterization with like Obi-Wan coming out of 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and still having to live with this like dread of losing Anakin and him having to like save Leia from any like certain danger or anything like that, or having to save Luke from any danger. And any of the struggles that Leia may have to go through with and all that stuff. Vader having to live with this sense of like this drive for revenge against Obi-Wan throughout the whole show. There was some good character moments here and there, and there was some like good like things to like follow up on these characters, but like there wasn't really much to follow up on with story because it was just dragged out entirely into 6 episodes when you could have released this as a 2.5-hour film. And maybe the 2.5-hour film may have been I guess may have felt rushed, or maybe like maybe it wouldn't like flow as much, considering when you compare it to like the filming process of what you did with the Disney Plus show. But it would just make more sense if it was a movie as opposed to dragging all of this out into a 6-episode Disney Plus series. And not to mention that you label it as a limited series, which goes to show even further that you could have made this. You could have made this into a film. You really could have, but it happens. I mean, outside of that, I mean, you see a couple of problems here and there with like continuity errors here and there, and some really, really, really odd, bad writing decisions, especially coming out of episode 4. My God, we do not need that ever again.
Nope.
But outside of that, I mean, like you do get the nice refreshing return of Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker, and now Darth Vader. And you still get the nice dynamic between the two. They still have it. They're not gonna lose that. They're fine. We don't have to worry about them. The new young actress for Leia, really impressive with what they were able to do with her. Even if the character ended up turning out to be this, 2-time damsel in distress in this show, I feel like the actress really did a great job at, portraying this character that we once loved back in the day, and I'm really hoping that they bring her back in future stuff, in so many future projects to come. But as far as the show goes, man, it just hurts because like it was supposed to be like this return from like being, it was supposed to like drag Obi-Wan out of the depths that was like the prequel trilogy flaws in like writing and bad CGI and this, that, and the other weird characters. But like, it, in a way that it helped him, but it introduced new problems. So there wasn't really any improvement. So it's depressing. I don't think it's a bad show though. It's not a bad show. It's honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, DL. It would probably be either a C+ or a C for me. I can't really decide between the two. I would probably keep it just at average, if I'm being honest. But I would probably consider average for me to be a C+. You know, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. I would give it a C+, but a C+ for me is average, not above average.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, all right.
You see where I'm getting at?
Yeah, I get you. So that is our thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tell us, what did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Comment your thoughts down below and let us know. Thank you, Ruby, for once again talking Star Wars with me. Subscribe to this guy's channel. He does a bunch of gaming stuff, and he's about to dabble a little bit more into the movie discussions as well. Are you still in the middle of your Smash tournament, or is that over?
Oh, that was over like a month and a half ago.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I actually don't plan on doing another one of those tournaments until like I may have one lined up for like April of next year or something like that. I'm trying to plan like super far ahead of time now, so that I actually get people to do this stuff.
Okay, you may or may not see me appear in one of these tournaments one day. Be on the lookout.
Am I gonna see the DL Kazuya Mishima?
More or less.
The Kazuya Mishima.
Literally, if it's Smash, I'm not even gonna make it past the first round. But you know, it is what it is. If it's Tekken, though, I'm whooping everybody's ass.
I'm telling you, if you play Tekken, you can play Kazuya.
Oh yeah, I'm whooping everybody's ass if it's Tekken. I'm whooping everybody's.
If you can kick ass in Tekken, you could probably kick ass in Smash Brothers. You'd probably get past the first round if you probably had like a week to like prep up for the tournament with just solo Kazuya. You probably make it past the first round. Honestly,
we'll see what happens.
Partially because the character carries. He does. If you played him, you would know what I mean.
Okay. Let's see. So the next Star Wars project we will be talking about is the much very anticipated show
Tales of the Jedi.
Yes! Yeah! Y'all thought we were gonna say Andor. You thought we were gonna say Andor. Nope, you gotta wait a little bit longer, motherfuckers. Yes. So that is the next thing we'll be talking about is Tales of the Jedi. So tune in for that when it comes out. But that is all we have for you Star Wars fans, and we will see you guys next time. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.